Well, Tuesday came and went, and the Browns still have not decided on a new head coach. Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com telling Baskin and Phelps here on 92.3 The Fan where things are standing right now with the Browns and their choice.
They're in decision-making mode right now. They're back here in Cleveland now, and they're working through their options. And at this point, pretty much everyone is still in it. No one has been ruled out of it as of yet.
Now, reports say we're down to three choices. They are defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, and Rams pass game coordinator Nate Scheelhaus. Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders officially named to the Pro Bowl games on Tuesday. Sanders is the first Browns quarterback to be named to the event since Derek Anderson in 2007. Sanders joins Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward for the games being held in San Francisco next week. Cavaliers forward Evan Mobley suffered a strained left calf during Monday's win against Orlando. He will be out the next 1 to 3 weeks. In the victory against the Magic, Mobley had 20 points and 9 rebounds. Same injury that kept Mobley out for 5 games back in the middle of December. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers back to work tonight as they'll entertain LeBron James and the LA Lakers. Cavs won 4 in a row and 11 of the last 15. LeBron and the Lakers come to town, having won 4 of their last 5. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, half of the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
92.3 The Fan's big game coverage is presented nationally by Tide. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Welcome in, Zach Jackson from The Athletic. Hello, Zach.
Hello, gentlemen.
Who's it going to be?
At this point, I don't know.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you could follow the trail that we thought that Scheelhaus might be coming home with them, right? That didn't happen. So I'm not sure I know that we're in the 4th week of the coaching search, and it's time. And it's time for the guys that don't get it. It's time for Todd Monken to go, accept the job with the Giants and build his staff. And it's time for the Browns to have a guy so they can have staff.
Zach Jackson and Friends.
Good morning. I'm Zach Jackson, and this is Zach Jackson and Friends. And for those of you guys who listen to another format, just let me say, I agreed to do the Lima and Ken show this morning because I thought that the coach search would be soft, and I thought we could talk Senior Bowl and the coach and whatever else. And then the coach wasn't solved, and I thought it was the worst radio interview I've ever done.
At this point, I don't know who it's going to be because really the only way it should have gotten this far is if you were just waiting on Nate Scheelhaus, right? Which obviously by rule you couldn't talk till yesterday. So I think we'll find out today.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Zach Jackson and Friends. I had no idea that's what his podcast sounded like.
Now, are you considered a friend? Because I've been on the podcast.
I've never been on the podcast, no.
Oh, so Ken's not a friend.
You've both been on the podcast. I don't know if it was this version of the podcast.
No, I was on A to Z.
He came here and recorded it one day.
Yeah, you've been on it.
I was on A to Z, though. I don't think I was on Zach Jackson
maybe
and Friends.
It was A to Z.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. A to Z.
It might have been barking Browns or something.
Barking harder.
Yeah.
Harder barking. Biting and barking. I'm not sure what it was.
Hey,
I apologize.
Keep
Barking
whatever
hard.
You guys do in the confines of your own home.
Barking hard. I had no idea that was the song. Where did he put that in? Who sang that for him?
So
was that Hayden Grove who put that in there for him? Was that Hayden? That was incredible.
I think Hayden's too expensive now. My wife looked into booking Hayden for a birthday party.
Oh, that's
too expensive.
Oh,
we
I
can't
didn't realize.
afford Hayden.
I didn't realize how well you guys were doing there. I had no idea.
We could afford Daryl doing pictures at a birthday party. That we could afford. We couldn't afford Hayden Grove.
Yeah, that
you
was.
Better hope Daryl doesn't get on some picture-taking reality show because then you won't be.
Then it's over.
No,
either.
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. That's how that's going to go. Well, at least he was honest. Yeah, I didn't. Well, Okay, good for Zach for not canceling. Zach could have very well just been like, you know what, I'm at the Senior Bowl. Because I ended up watching Senior Bowl practice yesterday.
I saw highlights.
Garage door came apart yesterday. Big thanks to the company down the street. Unpaid testimony, came right out, took care of it. It was very cheap. Did a great job. Automatic garage door, right down the street. I'll call unpaid. Technically, I paid. So unpaid testimonial right there. Oh, yeah. I hit the button up on the roof of my truck, and I saw it, and I went, oh, my God. It just started to come apart right there in my rearview mirror. And immediately my neighbor's text goes, looks like you're having problems with your garage door. I was like, you come outside, there's going to be a murder out here. That's how this goes. Because I thought it was laying on top of Liz's car. Anyway, long story short, that happened. Liz was sick, crisis mode at the house. And then hour and a half, they had it fixed. Took them 15 minutes to fix the damn thing, which I don't know what I'm doing with garage doors.
Was it a one-man effort or a two?
One.
Okay, this is amazing to me.
Oh, this guy,
watching
Carl
one
with
guy,
a K, he knew what he was doing.
Nobody understands physics better than a one-man garage door operator, repairman, because they can just, first of all, these things are supposed to be heavy, and the guy we had come out was like in his 70s, but he had the knowledge.
Yep.
He understood the angles.
The knowledge. It's so. I looked at this. I go, "There's no way I can fix this," because I was afraid. I was like, "Well, Liz went and stood under it." Of course, I go, "That could fall at any time. It's heavy. Get out from under there."
Ken whispered that while his arms were over his hands were over his mouth.
I was so upset.
Don't want anything bad to happen.
Oh, what?
Go stand over there.
I'm the one with a life insurance policy, so if she dies, I don't get anything. If I die, now she gets a lot. Because I got 4 of them. So, that's how that goes. But I told, get out from under there. Plus, her kids are too small. So someone's got to raise them, and it ain't going to be me. So I need her. So anyway, she came out, and the arm was like off of it. And basically, long story short, I'm home with Liz yesterday. Liz is sick. Garage door came apart. Thank God for Carl with a K to come out and fix the damn thing. And then by the afternoon, it's like, all right, things are settled now. And I'm watching Senior Bowl practice, everything going on, and I'm getting texts like crazy of what's going on. Because, cats are out of the bag now. It's like, all right, yeah, I know someone close with them. Off we go with Shieldhouse, right? So cats are out of the bag, which, by the way, God bless everybody who is tracking planes. It was a Zoom yesterday. So I don't know what planes were going. They have other businesses. They have other ventures. So I don't know. We're tracking planes. And I know that that's like a time-honored tradition in Cleveland since LeBron in 2014, and I don't want to get upset anybody, but it was Zoom.
And the Haslams are wealthy enough that if they wanted to just mess with the people tracking the planes, they could just have their employees just joyriding all over the place.
Haslam 2's going one direction, Haslam 1's going the other.
A little bit of the old diesel therapy.
We threw them off the trail.
Jet fuel therapy, if you think about it. Anyway, yeah, there you go. So it was a conversation. There are still conversations going on, and we are in another day. I've lost track of days. Are we at day 21? Today's Wednesday, 22.
Oh,
Could they be day 22 or 23, right?
23, right?
23
it was
days.
The 5th.
23 days.
January 5th was Monday.
Which the Senior Bowl's going on, and we don't have a coach down there or a staff down there. I'm sure we have scouts. I don't know what they're doing. Senior Bowl practice was good.
They're watching Markel Bell?
Yeah, but, you wanted me to do that, didn't you?
What?
So the defensive this is what happens when you don't have a head coach yet. So the defensive end, I'm watching Senior Bowl practice yesterday, working on some things. It's about 5:30 or so. And they did a whole thing where they were basically calling out the guy who was doing play-by-play of the Senior Bowl practice. They did the whole thing. He's like, I love Jelly Roll. And I think Daniel Jeremiah's like, yeah, what's your favorite song?
Which version of Jelly Roll?
Oh, they're all good. They're all good. It's like, oh, okay.
You wouldn't recognize a new version of Jelly Roll.
Yeah. Good for him.
The tattoos do not translate to the new body.
I think they do.
Really?
Yes, I think they do.
Really?
I actually do.
They look a little droopy to you?
Anyway, so Markel Bell is the left tackle playing for the Miami Hurricanes. Derek Moore, they're doing one-on-one drills, and Derek Moore from Michigan bull rushes him. And it's always great when you see a highlight live, and immediately I text Keith and go, you're going to see something. He's like, I'm watching it right now. I already saw. And you make the joke, and you go, AB has circled Markel Bell already. And I go, the worst part about it is that it's just practice. And while that's like something you pay attention to, you could always look at it as a coach or a scout and go, well, that's a bad rep.
It's one rep. Yeah,
it's one bad rep. Derek Moore got him that time. Looked great for Derek Moore. Shows his power because that's I think Bella's like 6'7", 340 or something. Like, he's a big, big man. And Derek Moore just went under him and took him down. And it was a great rep. Great rep for him. Bad for Bell. And then the problem is that if you take that guy.
Now that's the highlight. Which is so silly.
All over Brown's
like,
Twitter.
he didn't play football. Like, he didn't play actual real football, but we're taking a rep.
But,
meanwhile, John Carroll, wide receiver. Ty Montgomery.
Yeah.
Kenny, as you know,
you showed me. I did not see him. You showed me.
I had a chance. I had a chance to do one of his games.
You called him.
National semifinal in Division III. Former basketball player
Congratulations on all your success.
Former basketball player at LSU. So he just started playing football like 3 years ago.
So he's an athlete.
Yeah.
A hell of an athlete.
And he was working a guy that Jeremiah had as the number 12 overall pick in the draft.
There was some
Colton Hood.
There was some good stuff in there. There was some good stuff at that practice. But yeah, thanks to Zach for jumping on with us and trying to give us anything, even though he knew that
Is that
there's
on
not
us?
a whole lot.
Did we put Zach in a bad spot?
No.
We're supposed to, like Kevin Stefanski's supposed to set up Shedeur Sanders to succeed. Did we set up Zach Jackson to fail?
Well, no, Zach talks to a lot of people, and he did say at that time that there were definitely people who rolled their eyes, which, Albert Breer was on Afternoon Drive yesterday. He had some great stuff, and he's like, yeah, like there's definitely going to be some people when they hear about the Browns process. Albert, I thought, put a much better disposition on it than a lot of us do. When we hear, I'll hold off on that clip. When we hear about personality tests and essays and questionnaires and things like that, we get upset, but Albert's explanation of it was like, hey, like Hugh Jackson came in and wowed him in the interview, and it went absolutely dreadfully. Freddie's interview was outstanding, and it went dreadfully. So they needed to go and they needed to fix some things and see how their processes were going to work. I'm like, all right, that makes sense from Albert Breer. There is one prevailing thought, though, and I've kind of heard it to be this way. Albert sort of disagrees. I want to play this clip from Albert yesterday where it was kind of bandied about where it's like, okay, it seems to be that Jim Schwartz might be Jimmy's guy and Nate Shieldhouse might be Andrew Berry's guy. Here's Albert's answer to that question.
I don't think these things are ever quite like that, to be honest with you. The owner's the owner. The owner can hire who the owner wants, and so is there debate over it? Sure. And again, like I think a lot of this is kind of going over all the information and figuring out who the right guy is and like how that'll affect the organization going forward. And what I mean by that, and I know that sounds general, but like what I mean by that is, okay, if we hire this guy, what's his staff going to look like? What's the staff going to look like 2 years from now? What's this going to look like as far as drafting a young quarterback? All those things come into play.
So I had heard these things before, and you start to wonder about it. And I think Jimmy's looking for people he trusts. Jim Schwartz has been there 3 years, has done a good job. He talks the talk, has been a head coach before. I could see why the owner would trust him. If I were the owner, it would be hard for me to move off of Jim Schwartz. I mean, let's be serious. There's a lot about 35 years. I mean, Pony was saying something like this, which I got to tell you, I don't think Pony flat out lies or anything like that. I won't accuse him of that. I'm sure I have in an argument before, but I won't accuse him of that. But the whole thing about the Steelers saying that Shieldhouse wasn't a good interview and will never be a head coach, I thought was a little crazy.
Well, if he's
I don't see a team like the Steelers saying that.
If he's already knocking at the door, if he doesn't get it this year or decides that he doesn't love the setup this year,
exactly,
isn't he going to be a head coach next year?
And I do wonder, and this is me in my theory here. There's been no text about this, but I do wonder if Jimmy's going, hey, like I got a guy I trust. I got another guy who seems to be a decent enough candidate, but he's maybe putting us through the paces. The hell with it. I'm going to take Jim Schwartz. Now, there's also the backside of that where you go, I trusted Andrew Berry to do the whole Deshaun Watson thing, to at least start the Deshaun Watson discussion. I trusted Andrew Berry to make 6 years of draft picks. I trusted Andrew Berry to keep Andrew Berry after we let go of Kevin Stefanski. If you're going to trust Andrew with all of that, doesn't it stand to reason you would trust Andrew with the head coach? If you're going to, seriously. Now, I know a lot of fans go, "What, Ken, hold on. What do you say?" Think about this. You wouldn't have trusted Andrew past 3 years ago. I know, right? Guys driving around, they wouldn't have trusted him 3 years ago. But you're not Jimmy. We don't own the Browns. Browns, they've trusted Andrew through all those things I just said. If you've trusted him through all of that, wouldn't you say, well, okay, I obviously trust you. I trust you to make this pick. Because if I don't trust you to help in make the decision for the head coach, why did I keep you here? Why did I keep you here? Because you are helping to pick the guy that leads your players. There was something that happened throughout this entire process of just not the last 21, 23 days, the last season, where Andrew had to say, this is not proper leadership of the players that I've selected for this football team. We're 6 years in. This is Andrew's team. This is not the proper leadership for the players that I've selected.
Well, not to mention, DePodesta is gone. So
exactly.
that was a trusted resource.
You get what I'm saying,
that he can lean on at all times. He's gone.
Exactly. So if you've kept Andrew's leadership throughout this, wouldn't it stand that you would let him make the choice of the players or the man who leads and has the idea of leading the players that he's selected? Because if you don't, then what's he here in the first place?
Yeah, obviously, Andrew Berry's approval rating with Jimmy Haslam is going to be way higher than most fans.
Than the fans. Way higher. So I don't know if that's going to hit the way I want it to hit. I think for a lot of fans are going, what are you talking about? I don't trust this guy as far as I can throw. Yeah, but the ownership does. And if the ownership trusts him all the way up until picking the head coach, that's a pretty important decision. So I think that there has to be some push and some shove. And also, I mean, there has to be some common sense where Jimmy has to see, like, well, boy, if things don't go well this year, then my young players aren't doing well. We have a bad vision. This could all restart. Like, you are still looking for people you trust. Jim's a guy that you trust. However, you get a young guy in there. Are you already having the bad memory of somebody who you let somebody you don't trust pick that head coach, and now you're stuck with him and you're constantly on this wheel? There's a lot here. So I can understand to some degree why there's some hemming and hawing and some waffling going on here. Now, Todd Monken can make this a lot easier just by going, you know what, I'm going to go with the Giants. Goodbye. And can bring it down to 2 or 3. I mean, Anthony Lynn's still in there, I understand, but I think you might be looking at him more as an offensive coordinator in that space. There is history with the family here in Cleveland, Ohio, so it might make sense logically. I know his wife was a anchor here for a long time.
She was fantastic.
She was wonderful too. So there is a history there where you can, we can go back home if there's an offer to be the offensive coordinator here. So there's a lot of things to play out. But that's kind of how I see it. So if you're saying, you know what, this is my team, this is my decision, that's it, then why do you have him? At the same time, you have him there. It's a big decision. 35 and never been a head coach and seeing all these things and the back and forth, because I do think that Nate Scheelhaus is testing how much power he's going to get, and that might not be something that I would react to favorably when I'm like, well, you're 35 years old, you've never even been an offensive coordinator. Like, I can look at it that way too. 216-474-0092. Who would you trust to make the pick? Who would you pick? You got two guys. Which one would you rather go with? Like I said yesterday, it's like if it comes down to me being conservative about this and having comfort with it, Nate's a lot of fun. I think I'd have to go with Jim. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work in the free Odyssey app.
92.3 The Fan.
and start packing.
An accident has the right lanes closed 480 east at Graydon. There's a crash Route A south at the Turnpike blocking the left lane. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Keep us locked in all day, every day for the latest on the Browns' search for a new head coach. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. Time out! Time out! 92.3 The Fan.
O'clock this morning, Aditi Kinkawala going to join us on the show. 9:20 this morning, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Do we ask him about that situation we're going to talk about at 6:40?
Yeah.
I think he might have an opinion on that. Coming up at 9:20 this morning, Joe Thomas, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Browns legend, celebrated Meat Man worldwide. He had a great video about why a veteran coach would make more sense. Now, we are on head coach watch. It could happen. These things tend to happen. Browns usually make these decisions in the morning. A lot of this stuff, whether it be guys getting cut, guys getting fired, guys getting hired, they usually happen in the morning with the Browns. So keep it here, 923thefan.com, 923 The Fan. I'm obviously on the regular radio, on YouTube Live, free Odyssey app, the whole thing. Keep it here because it could happen at any time. Once it happens at any time, obviously these interviews change. If it happens before 8 o'clock, then, the whole question with Aditi is, what's this guy going to do, whether it be Jim Schwartz, whether it be Nate Scheelhaus or Todd Monken, who's still out there, Anthony Lynn, who's still out there. What happens there if one of these guys are hired? Same thing with Joe. Joe, I think it's going to be an interesting perspective if they were to hire Nate Scheelhaus. Okay, what does he have to do to endear himself to Myles Garrett? What's he have to do to ingratiate himself within these players to make sure that he's the type of guy that he can start off on the right foot with these guys? That's, I think, going to be a very, very, very big thing. And obviously, we're paying attention to a lot of other things. LeBron's back in town with the Lakers playing the Cavs tonight. Evan Mobley's going to be out, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. That's coming up in about last night. Hell of a lot of stuff going on, guys. Hell of a lot of things going on. 216-474-0092. So who would you trust with you? Would you trust Jimmy or Andrew? I know it's tough because it's like you and I, you speak out of both sides of our mouths. You said Jim yesterday. I said Jim yesterday. It's like, okay, comfort. He's been a head coach before, but it does feel like you're hiring a bridge head coach, quote unquote. We would both say, all right, I guess I give the edge to Jim. Defense already loves him. Miles loves him.
Well, and listen.
You're closer to halfway. You feel like you're closer to halfway there with him, but it's like, well, you have Andrew Berry here for a reason. Why wouldn't you?
I know we all hear a lot of things about what could be happening behind the scenes, and a lot of it I just flush away. Even some of the stuff I've heard, I flush away because there
What have you heard?
Well, there's just ulterior motives of people trying to get messaging out. But I can tell you just flat out, and I don't think this is any big reach, and it's the most logical conclusion. Guys like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, they love Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
They love him.
Yeah.
Now, you'd say, do they just love him as defensive coordinator? That might be the case, but that's what they know right now. And they have been out there, and I told you yesterday how, hey, I know it rubs some people the wrong way when they're out doing, choreographed dance routines on a losing football team.
Yeah.
But it's because they have an identity. They believe in themselves. It's everything we'd love to see out of the offense, but we can't get there for myriad reasons. Mm-hmm. They do appreciate Jim Schwartz as a head coach, and it would not shock me if the things I've heard are true, which is they have gone to bat for Jim Schwartz to be the head coach. And that has been something that nobody seems to care about, but I think you should, because Myles Garrett's one of the leaders of the team, and Denzel Ward is one of the leaders of the team. In a team where there's not a lot of leadership, or we've asked where the leadership is coming from, those guys are leaders, and when Jimmy Haslam picks their brains, would not shock me if what I've heard is true, that they would do anything for Jim Schwartz.
Now, what's his leadership style like defensively? I'm going to get to the phones here in a second, I promise. I want to ask, what do you think his leadership style is like defensively? Because there's a big difference in going from an assistant to being a head coach. Like
Josh McDaniels.
Like if they were to take Bill Callahan has always been, this is the way it is and this is the way it's going to be. And I think that Bill Callahan, listen, I know it didn't work out in Nebraska and all the other stuff, and it fizzles out of her. The guy did coach in a Super Bowl, for crying out loud, okay? Like, he was good. He was a good football coach. He's been a good football coach a long time.
Oh, yeah.
he's had that managerial type of feeling with the offensive line, and then he had the managerial type of feeling with the head coach. I don't question whether or not he would be able to step into that role. Just using him as an example. Jim, well, we're celebrating every play. That's a loaf. We're excited. We play exciting. Will that translate to being a head coach? Is it? I can't imagine a guy who's 60 years old who's been doing this long is all hunky-dory, buddy, and then getting a head coaching look. I don't think that would happen. But you have to pay attention to such a thing like that because we see it all the time. Guys go from assistant to head coach, and then all of a sudden they have to be different than what they've been before. That's why 9 times out of 10, you really want guys to go to a different area. You want guys to go to a different team because then they can change. They can be different. Hey, it was that way with the Rams. It's this way with the Browns. I have to change myself because I have to be an overseer of everything. You can still be true to who you are, but you can't have that type of relationship like you've had in the past. See, that would be one of the things I'd have to ask Jim Schwartz in an interview. And we brought this up before, but that's just one of the things I think of.
I'm curious how relative his time in Detroit was as a head coach to the Browns fans in all of this, because I think it's probably.
I think it becomes more and more as they get more excited about the younger people.
But I wonder, I bet you somebody like Jimmy Haslam is honestly trying to think logically about this. You got to remember where Detroit was before Jim Schwartz was there. They had been decade plus
0-16, bad drafting.
How many years in between playoff bursts? It was a ton.
It was Barry Sanders.
And so they go to the playoffs. They had a little bit of success, not all that different from what Kevin Stefanski was able to pull off here. And yet it went down with a lot of the normal fans, and obviously in Detroit, I'm sure at the end, he's a failed head coach. But it was so long ago, and Albert Breer has brought this up on a bunch of interviews, a bunch of podcasts. He's like, yeah, they went and drafted a bunch of just unsavory characters. Does it sound familiar with what may have happened in Cleveland over time? But they drafted a bunch of guys that were not even on draft boards for other teams because of all the warning flags, and then it flamed out immediately. It just went nowhere. Is he not allowed to learn from those circumstances and everything? And some of that probably out of his control too. Is he allowed to learn from that? It's been so long. The guy is okay. Guys change. Guys evolve over time. And in a hiring cycle where we just saw John Harbaugh, Mike McCarthy get hired, why is it that crazy that Jim Schwartz, who the Detroit Lions, I think young fans today don't have any clue what a laughing stock Detroit was.
No, they just see how
they were the Browns. Yeah. They were today's Browns. Not even today's Browns. They were the 1-31 Browns. Mm-hmm. That's what they were before Jim Schwartz went there. So it would not surprise me if he doesn't get dinged in that Browns building, especially because they've worked with him.
Yeah.
They haven't seen a failed head coach like Jim Schwartz's reputation of a failed head coach. They don't see that because they work with him every day, and he's been so successful with their unit. They probably are, if anything, they're probably that couldn't have been Jim Schwartz's fault when he failed in Detroit.
Well, if you're considering him for the head coach, you are trying to tell yourself that it's not his fault. Now, what is true and what is not true, you're going to see it in a different discipline. Now that he's a finalist, we're down to the nitty gritty. Yeah, I don't think that's really going to be such a big ding on him anymore. Frankie in Columbus, you're first up on the Fan. Hello, Frankie.
Great Wednesday morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Hey, we're well. Go ahead.
All righty, I got some thoughts you're probably not going to like, but Jim Schwartz, to me, that hire gives me the same feeling of when the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce. I just don't think it's serious. And first of all, I don't think this coaching search is serious, but I just don't think it's a serious hire because what is your expectation when you hire him? You're not expecting to win. And I think if you hire
Why do you say that? Why do you think that when, Antonio Pierce was a totally different situation because he had just been an assistant for a couple of years or a player coach. Jim Schwartz has been a head coach. He's been a Super Bowl winning coordinator. What's unserious about that? Super Bowl winning coordinators get head coaching jobs. That's what happens.
I hear you. I hear you on that. But the reason I see the parallels is the players got excited under Antonio Pierce. Max Crosby was like, I'm not staying unless he's staying. And then you're getting that same vibe from obviously Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. So standing by their guy, and that's all a good sign. But why is nobody else interviewing him?
Well, he was. He did get one interview.
Where?
Baltimore.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that. So thank you for correcting me on that. I still don't think it's a good hire, though. I would go Shieldhouse, but I would only go Shieldhouse if you're okay with it taking some time. Because I got to tell you, I think the Browns got to just destroy everything and just start from square one. I just think they are paying so much money. They're fifth to last in cap space right now. And I mean, you're spending way too much money to be this bad.
Frankie, you're right, but you're still forced to spend it. I don't know if you're going to get that for another year. That's why I think that's why you and a lot of people, and thank you for the call, I think you and a lot of people have the same feeling, is that if you do hire Nate Shieldhouse, it's like, man, it's going to be really, really hard to move on from him after 1 year. Even though, Lima, you've brought up disaster scenarios, and I can't say it's completely impossible. But if you hire Jim Schwartz, like, yeah, the term bridge head coach is going to be brought up. There's no doubt about that. I can't fight that. That's something that we are going to have to discuss all throughout the offseason and going into next year. Coming up at 8 o'clock this morning, Aditi Kekawala going to join us on the show. Coming up in 5 minutes, stop hiding behind a crazy old man. Come out and say it with your chest. It's coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Fanatic Sportsbook. Folks, the Kardashian curse is officially headed to the big game.
and Route 8 South at the Turnpike. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
The radio home of the NFL in Cleveland.
This penalty's declined.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Stop hiding behind a crazy old man, you bunch of cowards. Tell you who they are and who's the crazy old man coming up here in just a few moments. Don't forget, folks, we can have breaking news at any time. As always, you can listen to this show at all of our local shows on The Fan, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, or you can take The Fan wherever you go. Listen to us on the free Odyssey app, the iHeart app, or the TuneIn app. It's all there for you. 92.3 The Fan on YouTube Live, absolutely free. So if the kids aren't going to school today, some are.
Wow,
some have decided to open their doors.
A bed of controversy.
Oh, it is a lightning
Don't
rod.
even get me started.
My kids are at home. I have told the smart speakers to blare throughout the house.
Yes, do it. Do it now. 92.3 The Fan on YouTube Live. If the kiddos are at home, turn us on. It's going to be much better than the Peppa Pig or what's the Caillou or whatever it is. Caillou? Caillou? I've always said it wrong. I don't know, man. Who knows?
Not as good as Kahlua.
I always say Caillou. I don't know it. I have no. They never watch. Some about SpongeBob got brought up in there. I looked at them like they had lobsters crawling out of their ears at work. Thinking, what? I go, my kids. They watched a little bit of it, but I don't pay. I never paid attention to it, and it was a fleeting thing. And now, Axel sits there and watches, all 22 with me.
That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, which is why I'm a little bit worried to bring this up.
Is he doing Senior Bowl stuff?
Not yet. He came downstairs yesterday, but then he had some things he had to do around the house for his mother. So obviously things change here. Which I'm afraid to bring this up because he says he wants to be a football coach someday, and John Carroll's right over there. And if Bill Polian is willing to do these things to keep Bill Belichick out, I can't imagine what he's going to do to keep my son out of JCU and you out of the Cleveland Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame after you put his son down there as one of the odds to get the Ignatius job. So we could be blackballed after this segment.
Are you saying they can hold a grudge?
Guys, let me tell you this. I know that Bill Polian, and I've been one of the people, he's a popular figure to go after. There have been plenty of people who have tried to poke holes in, hey, wasn't that great in Buffalo? It got lucky with Manning, all that other stuff. We know what he famously said and then denied about Lamar Jackson. He is an easy figure to attack. But there were 11 people who decided that Bill Belichick wasn't a Hall of Famer, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Where are these people who are hiding behind the boogeyman of Bill Polian here? Jimmy, did you see Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson tweeting about it? I go, Jimmy Johnson's about to whoop someone's ass on Shorb Avenue down in Canton, Ohio this August. He was upset about Jimmy Johnson might be one of my favorite coaches ever, by the way. Yes, it is. It does seem asinine that Belichick isn't in the Hall of Fame. It does feel very petty that for some of the Belichick wasn't nice to the media, Belichick the Spygate, stuff like that. It does feel very baseball Hall of Fame. And it doesn't look like a good look. Now, he'll be in the Hall of Fame next year probably, so we don't need to grind that he's never going to get in. But listen, he's the most successful NFL coach in the league's history. Yeah, he should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame.
And maybe the best defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Ever. Like that's part of the sell job.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the most he's the most successful head coach to ever do it in the Hall of Fame. He should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think it's some sort of travesty or tragic or anything like that. He'll get in next year mostly because I think of the massive hissy fit we're all throwing here. Some of the voters are upset that it got out there early. Okay, I can understand that. But again, media members are media members, so you only have each other to blame on that.
But they wanted this out there because they wanted people to be chastised.
Yeah.
And they want every voter to be asked about it because much like the Hall of Fame voters in baseball, it's like, all right, you deserve ridicule and scorn. Let's see. Let's be honest. Let's be forthright about this stuff.
What is the reason to keep him out? Excuse me. We know what the reason may be to keep him out, courtesy of what was said about Bill Polian. But again, you can't tell me that oh gosh, Bill was that strong of a figure. I guess that we have to be right that he's not not a Hall of Famer. Like, I'm sorry, there's 11 people who are right now anonymous that are just hiding behind a very well-known figure in Bill Polian. It just seems to be ridiculous to me.
And Mike Sando had a great breakdown of how this could have possibly happened. I don't know if you want some of the details here, if you don't want to get caught up in the weeds.
Give me a little bit. We don't need to get all the weeds.
Part of it was the format of the voting, the way this works, because Belichick, Kraft, Craig, Anderson, Greenwood competing for 1 through 3 spots, separating them from the 15 modern era finalists. 50 voters each pick 3 of the 5. And so what happens is, because it's a zero-sum game, which is a huge change from prior voting, 250 total votes to go around, 5 candidates with a high bar for clearance. And because there's a high bar for clearance, if you really want some of those other guys in, and you assume that Belichick was going to get in anyway, you're like, well, I'm not going to waste one of my votes for Belichick because I assume he's getting in, so I need to help prop up the guy I want.
Yes, that's been brought up before. That's a great point.
So he says, let's say 4 to 5 voters who are strong advocates for a specific senior player figured Belichick was going to make it regardless. They funneled votes to competing candidates. Let's say a few voters prioritize senior players of the thinking that Belichick will be back in the room next year, while the players in about this year might disappear from the senior pool forever. So I have to vote for them or they're gone and they may never get in. Then some, according to Sando, Spygate, cheating, therefore he's disqualified. I
think that's ridiculous. I think if you find a successful coach in the NFL, they've always tried to bend the rules.
Yeah.
In that, I mean, every team has tried to do something, for crying out loud. It just depends on how.
That is my thinking. If anything, I actually gave Belichick credit
for not getting caught in the modern era.
For pioneering efforts that were so good and so effective, and the rest of the league had a chance to do this over time. I understand that's probably going to be a little controversial. But either way, this was shocking because I think we all just assumed, Belichick. Now, when did he retire? Like, we used to have to wait, and now
he didn't retire. He just stopped being an NFL head coach.
Yeah. So
it's I think it's the next year for coaches.
Right.
I know it's 5 years for players, but I think it's the next year for coaches. Can it be the next year for coaches?
Well, this was his first ballot.
They said it was the first ballot, so it can't be the first year because he's not been a head coach
Sando
for 3
thought
years.
A few of the voters might have protested the new rules making coaches eligible 1 year after retiring instead of 5.
Mayo was
it's only
1
been
year.
2 years. You're right. Yeah,
Mayo was 1 year, and
maybe
we are in the first
thing.
year of Vrabel.
Okay, so maybe it's a 2-year thing because if this is the first year, then it has to be after 2 years, right? Because if it was just 1 year, then he would have been on the ballot last year.
And Sando's saying the rules have changed. So there's a couple different ways the rules have changed.
The old
people
Dodge
might be
commercials.
Protesting some of this. Either way, it is stunning because it just really boils down to, I think, for some people, whether or not you thought the cheating allegations, whether or not you thought that was a big enough deal that should have kept his entire career out.
No.
You see, we do this in baseball. We have a lot of players in baseball who, by the merits, by what they've accomplished, should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, but they're not.
See, that's why I disagree with that. That's why, and I know you agree with me with what I'm about to say. Baseball's different. Baseball is supposed to be pastoral. It's supposed to be, quote, a gentleman's game. That's what it was always meant to be. So there is some sort of, oh my God, I can't believe you would cheat. Football is a gladiatorial sport. I'm not trying to sound like George Carlin here, but it's supposed to be win at all cost. Is it or is it not? That's the whole point. America loves winners. That's part of the reason why we're hooked on the NFL. That's part of the reason why we're hooked on football to begin with. It's supposed to be win at all costs. And if you're cheating the rules, don't get caught cheating the rules, at least at its highest level. Like if he was a high school coach, obviously you might be appalled. But we're talking about the NFL here. You're paid to do what? Entertain me and win. And it's winning by entertainment, so that's what you do. So I don't want to hear any of this stuff about, oh my God, he had cameras out and all that other crap. I understand that. I get that, and he wears that like a cloak with all of us. But let's be honest here. Let's be honest. Like, his reputation might have taken a hit here recently because New England's back in the Super Bowl with Vrabel, with Drake May. They could, what Tom Brady did with Tampa Bay, what he's not doing right now with North Carolina, with all the other histrionics with everything else in his personal life, which I don't even want to get into. But let's be honest, 20 years from now, when he's dead and gone, what are we going to be saying about Bill Belichick? We'll be saying he's the greatest coach who ever lived in the NFL. That's what we're going to be saying about the guy.
Well, and so the next question is, does this have any bearing on Tom Brady? Could Deflategate have any bearing on? Of course, I don't think it will.
Fat ass chance.
But people are saying if you're dinging Belichick, how are you not dinging Tom Brady for this as well?
Well, no, because this is going to be remembered his first year in, because this is such a huge thing that everybody's making a big deal about, that when Belichick gets in next year, that will be... How long has it been now for Brady? We got 3 more years or 4 more years for Brady? 3 more years for Brady? Either way.
A year or 2.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it?
I mean, how long has Baker been in Tampa?
Brains are
3
fried.
years? He's played 3 seasons. This is year 3 of Baker in Tampa.
Okay, so we got
5 years for players.
Yeah, so we got a couple more years. That's right. So no, that'll be fresh in everybody's memory. He'll easily be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Crying out loud.
It says 2028, 28 class.
I mean, there's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame that have checkered past. So let's not go crazy here, guys. So I'm just happy to talk about it because this is the first time I've ever heard you kind of passionate about the Hall of Fame. Usually I don't get to talk about the Hall of Fame.
This one was so bizarre. Like, we had all kind of, and I guess not everybody, but most have been like, yep, Belichick's got to be, if he's not the greatest coach ever, every conversation that talks about the greatest coaches ever, he has to be in it.
Of course.
Well, regardless of if it was him or Brady or who had more, to do with those championships, he still got 6 championships.
Yeah. So, and definitely those first Brady championships.
Right.
That was Belichick. I mean, nobody questioned. That was all coaching.
Yes. All you have to do is show the picture of Brady at the combine.
I could give more credit to Tom Brady, but every coach needs good players. Andy Reid's a great coach. Andy Reid has the player of the generation as a quarterback. He had Donovan McNabb before. Donovan McNabb's very good. I don't believe he's a Hall of Famer, to be honest with you, but I think he's very, very good. He accomplished things. He maximized Donovan McNabb. He's maximizing as best he can Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is way better. No offense to Donovan McNabb, but this is just common sense. So you need good players. Yeah, Belichick had a good player. Yeah, so did Paul Brown. So did a lot of great coaches. That's how it works. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Aditi Kinkhabwala. She'll join us on the show. Joe Thomas, 920, Hall of Famer. We'll talk to him about the Browns coaching search here. And, let me just throw this out here for you guys. Maybe it's a good thing the coaching search is taking this long, or maybe I'm just trying to make you feel better about a bad situation. That's in 5 on The Fan. Keep it here, 92.3 The Fan. Watch us on YouTube Live if you're stuck at home for absolutely free, 92.3 The Fan on YouTube Live. And then check out NortheastFactoryDirect.com. If you're looking
to the hump. I feel like on some level, he's the perfect guy to bring in. He sure as heck is worth a conversation.
Catch Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker on Afternoon Drive every Wednesday at 4. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Hell yeah! We're still looking for a head coach. Welcome back. Oh, by the way, social media reactions brought to you by
Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Nasty Works writes on our YouTube Live, Ken Carman has Mrs. Doubtfire jowls. The amazing Mr. Hyde, Ken is built like old Lizzo. Retro Lizzo is what he wrote. Oh, and thoughts? Lima, thoughts? Did I have Mrs. Doubtfire jowls?
I'll have to investigate further.
You know that wasn't actually Mrs. Doubtfire, right?
No. What are you talking about? No, that was Robin Williams.
What?
Yeah.
Well, can I just break that down for a second?
Sure.
I don't think she should have kept him away from his kids. However, he couldn't hold out a job.
No.
And she told him specifically,
very expensive city.
No parties. Our son, he can't get it right. He's not doing his homework. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. No, let's have a massive party and bring in. No, you defied your wife. You brought a pony in. It was a pony, for crying out loud. Eating cake. She's the only one keeping the house afloat. They're living in San Francisco. You just said it.
It's a
expensive city.
$5 million home in 2016. Yeah. What is it now?
The only time he could get his act together
15?
was dressing like Mrs. Doubtfire. Divorce did him well. It's the only time he could get his act together was taking away his kids. And then let's be honest. Defying it and coming up with a whole different thing and then being around and all that stuff. Yeah, it might be that might throw you off
what he likes to do in his own time, how he likes to dress. We don't need to get into that.
Pierce Brosnan for what? Having a job, liking the kids, being a good stepfather?
Not to mention drive-by fruiting.
Drive-by fruiting. Which, wasn't it Robin Williams' brother was in that? Like a cameo or something in there? In the background? I love that movie. But, that's a little bit for Miranda, too, okay? Sally Field wasn't that bad in that movie. All right. Yeah, this is where we're at with the coaching search. Should Sally Field be the next Browns coach? 216-474. Can't do any worse. Can I throw something at you, and maybe this is just galaxy brain?
Mm-hmm.
Could it be a good thing that the search has taken so long? Hear me out. I'm just asking. Maybe it's just, hey, I'm trying to make you guys feel better about a bad situation. The Steelers hired Mike McCarthy, where the picture of him and Art Rooney looked like you and me at a 25th anniversary show. I mean, it was like, oh, God. It looked uncanny. Fans were not excited. Not excited about Mike McCarthy. It just seems like you just traded one Mike for the other. And you're going to finish 9-8 or 8-9 now. Even though, I got to tell you, when it comes to Mike McCarthy, there's not a whole lot bad I can say. He's done a fine job as a head coach altogether, but I'm not excited by him. Like, if the Browns were to hire Mike McCarthy, I'd probably feel the same way a lot of Steelers fans did when they hired Mike McCarthy. And then the Bills have been following us around, it seemed, for the last week. Hey, you guys want to interview Grant Udinski? We want to. Nate Shaw? We want to interview Nate Shaw. It seemed like they were just following us around, and then they hired their offensive coordinator as the head coach. And a lot of Bills fans couldn't stand Joe Brady in his offense this last year. Like, when I put him on the sheet, there were a lot of people going, Ken, ask Bills fans. Like, I know a lot of Bills fans. I know how they feel about Joe Brady. I know that. And here we are, and we are 23 days into this, and it looks like a total mess and all the other. Looks bad. And I'm going, well, yeah, they're taking their good, sweet-ass time, and I know we're getting a little antsy here. We want to move on, and I told you this is why I hate coaching searches. This is why I don't like firing coaches. But is it possibly a good thing at all, or am I just trying to put a nice spin on things because I'm a Browns fan and I want them to do well?
I haven't been as aggravated about the timing of this. Like, what are we missing out of? What are we missing out on? Like, there are still jobs open, right? Are there 3 now? We are one of 3? Okay.
So Raiders, us, Cardinals.
So you'd say the staff, right? You'd say, well, they're going to lose out on potential staff. Okay, that would be I think the pet peeve, but, you want to make sure you get the coach right. The coach matters first and foremost, and there is a holding pattern. I think you're seeing that right now with coordinators and various staff personnel. So in the end, okay, do I wish they would have hired somebody yesterday as opposed to today? Okay, but am I going to lose sleep over that? I want to make sure they get it right and they have a pecking order established and they root out any potential concerns with any of the coaches. That to me is going to be very important. So I have not lost any sleep over whether or not they picked a coach 2 days ago, yesterday, or today. If this thing went into the weekend, okay, yeah, I think it's panic time.
Well, we're getting down to it because I want him to be able to. Well, he's got to assemble a staff. We don't even have an offensive coordinator yet. But, the Cardinals' situation ain't much better than ours. I don't think it is better than ours. Their wide receiver situation, I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is a disappointment to some, but if he gets healthy and he actually has a quarterback throwing to him, he'll probably be better. The Raiders' situation is not a good situation. These teams desperately need to be down in Mobile with their coaches. They don't have them. So this is kind of affecting us all, where these are three bad football teams that are affecting us all. So I do want to get it right, and I think that the Browns are trying to get it right. I think it's looked bad. There's no way I can put a spin and say it's a tremendous job. I'm not saying it's a tremendous job. If it were a tremendous job, we'd already have a head coach by now. It's not a tremendous job. But you also want to make sure that you are having the right checks and balances because, again, I think you're right. Before the season was over, there was a lot of championing of Jim Schwartz. There was a lot of great things said about Jim Schwartz, and now he's become kind of this pariah for a lot of fans, where we're just going to settle for this guy who's already here. It's more of the same. I disagree with that.
Which is
funny.
You
disagree with that.
Which is hilarious because at the end of the year, the Jim Schwartz approval rating was higher than anybody else associated with the Cleveland Browns in terms of coaches. Holy cow, everybody at the end of the year was like, why not just fire Kevin now and make him the interim?
Yeah.
That was a conversation we were having. So how did he go from somebody who had this high approval rating and everybody going, how come it seems like there's accountability there but with nobody else? And the minute you start to talk about him as head coach, people are like, absolutely not. We had a caller earlier today, first hour, say they are unserious if they hire Jim Schwartz.
in Columbus, yep.
And I'm like, unserious? Why unserious? By the way, the Ravens interviewed him for a head coaching job. You could sit there and say, well, they were maybe they were just doing that to troll the Browns. They're going to waste their time. They were going to talk to Jim Schwartz.
I think that, but everybody likes something new and exciting. That's why we like to talk about drafts in the college quarterbacks in the draft. That's why, you might get excited. I was watching the Senior Bowl yesterday. I have to admit, I'm watching the Senior Bowl and I'm seeing Luke Altmaier and they're saying nice things about him. I go, could Luke Altmaier be a diamond in the rough for us? Could the kid from Arkansas be a diamond? And then they show Garrett Nussmeier and, I start to get all worked up and everything. And they show him and here I go, oh gosh. I'm going, well, what about Malik Willis? I don't like Malik. Why don't you like Malik Willis? What, because he sucked up the room in Tennessee? Okay, how many people have sucked up the room in Tennessee? He's obviously done clearly better in Green Bay. Clearly. And I know we fought about that last week. I didn't mention Tennessee, though. So I think the newness makes people think differently. And when you have the chance to get Nate Scheelhaus, which sounds crazy where you go, oh, we get the chance to get a 35-year-old unproven guy who, even though you and I think play calling is overrated, who has never called plays. Even though you can get a guy who's been a head coach before, the retread thing, the ageism part of it, I think a lot of people want to go young and fresh and offensive, and they want a young coordinator. They want their own Sean McVay. They want their own Kyle Shanahan. Even though, gosh, who's in the Super Bowl? You got Mike McDonald, a defensive guy who's not old, and then you got Mike Vrabel, who's technically he's a retread.
Isn't that fascinating? By the way, we always go the way of the trends in the NFL. That's all people are, dead set on. They're obsessed with what are the trends? What are the trends? And I'm like, what a big year for the defense in the NFL. Now, I know you can spin that and go, well, yeah, so you need the offensive guy to figure out these defenses. But it is kind of funny that this year, to me, has been all about bringing quarterbacks back down to the pack and having defensive lines smother offensive lines.
Yes.
around this league.
Yes. 216-474-0092. Could it be a good thing that the search has taken so long? That you have two other teams that aren't very good, that they're taking their sweet-ass time on it. The Browns have obviously taken a lot of time. We're 23 days in. I would expect... I know that the one app, the one prediction app was it Kalshi?
Oh, yeah, Kalshi. Right?
It went nuts yesterday in the middle of the afternoon.
Oh, boy.
And then it went nuts the other way.
Some people said it's because of your cryptic tweets. And that's what happens with this betting market, is that it can be easily persuaded by
I did not realize
social media.
I did not realize that Nathan has 6 letters and Shieldhouse has 11 letters.
Well, you got to explain to people who might not have seen that yesterday.
I had a metaphor for life. I wrote, in the end, we all go 6 and 11. And immediately some fans went, Nathan has 6 letters, 11 letters are in Shieldhouse.
Come on.
What's he know?
Come on.
And I went, guys, it ain't that deep. It ain't that deep.
Then he was looking at chemtrails on the area around the jet that was moving about.
Guys, it was a Zoom. I could tell you that much. Like, there's things I'm not going to tell you that I was texting you yesterday, but I'm going to tell you right now, it was a Zoom. So you can follow planes around all you want, but yesterday it was a Zoom. So maybe it was Jim. Maybe Jim's flying around. I don't know. I would imagine he has a home and a mortgage here in Cleveland, Ohio, or Northeast Ohio, but it was a Zoom call yesterday with Nate. 216-474-0092. Like, hey, I will tell you, like, I got along with Kevin. Kevin's great. You and I have shaken Nate Shieldhouse's hand one time, and you don't even remember. It was in 2021. It'd be nice. It would suck to have to sit here if things go bad and have to go, well, I like the guy personally. Like I had to do every time with Kevin, but I don't want the guy. I don't want any of them to be I don't want Stephen Vogt to be an adversary or Kenny Atkinson for that matter. And they haven't. I mean, Stephen Vogt's been in these studios and he's been wonderful. But at the same time, you want to judge them for who they are. And it would be, but I want to get the guy right. Jim Schwartz, there's been passing words, but that's it. And I just want to make sure that the right guy gets hired because I don't want to have to go through this anytime soon. Because it felt like we just went through this, even though it's been 6 years, because it's a slog to go through these things. 216-474-0092. 8 o'clock, Aditi Kickaball are going to join us on the show. Now, I got some people who want in here. All right, if it's down to 2 or 3, which one do you want? And LeBron is the king to everyone, everywhere else. I don't know if he's necessarily the king here. Let me explain in 5 on the Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for Mentality.
Well, the Lakers and LeBron, they've come to Rocket Arena having won 4 of their last 5. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. The best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Still waiting on a head coach. Aditi Kekawala, she'll join us today. We're not waiting on her. She'll join us today. I mean, we will wait on her if she has other things she has to do. But
is there a chance either Aditi or Joe Thomas come on our airwaves
during breaking news? Yes.
During breaking news,
yes.
Or could they start to hint at some news they might
That's
know?
a possibility. So you got to be listening at 8. You got to be listening at 9:20.
You're telling me they're not
matter.
plugged in? First of all, Aditi has covered the Browns, has been a part of their training camp, goes behind doors I'm not allowed to go behind.
Yeah.
In Berea.
Yeah.
Kenny, even doors maybe you cannot go behind.
I think I've been behind every single door in Berea.
Usually Kenny just stands out in the front entryway and claps when
that is
I
true.
didn't clap. On my dead mother in the box in my office, I never clapped when he got there. It did not happen.
I know you
because
didn't clap.
Knew I wasn't allowed to, I should not clap. I didn't clap when he was leaving.
I know you didn't clap in the coach's show.
Put the safety on, thank you. Okay. Usually I say that to him. Aditi
Sometimes it slips out.
Aditi Kekawala joins us at 8:01. Well, pull the magazine out then, because that's too much. Anyway. All right, speaking of hot takes, here we go. LeBron is the king everywhere else and to everyone else. I don't think he's bigger than Jose in Cleveland. 216-474-0092. I don't think he's bigger than Jose in Cleveland. I think Jose is the Michael Stanley of Cleveland sports. I find that Jose is more beloved. Jose's playing here forever. LeBron, I am a huge LeBron fan. I am not looking at you right now as I make this point because I think you're gonna stop me from making my point, and I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna drive right into this, and I don't care. Okay? If you want, get your Dale Earnhardt jokes off too. Okay? Get them off too. Been 25 years now. Okay? I'm gonna get this off my chest. I think that more Cleveland sports fans, if you're a Cleveland sports fan, you like all three. I think Jose is more beloved than LeBron. They're both getting statues. One has been much more successful. But I think that one has stayed, and he's taken your discounts, and he's tried to work with the organization, and that organization has been better, I'll grant you that. But he has worked with that organization, and it's nothing against LeBron. Nothing against LeBron whatsoever. This is not anti-LeBron. It's just the truth how I see it. I think Jose is a bigger figure in Cleveland, or, excuse me, not bigger figure, more beloved in Cleveland. LeBron is certainly much better known. He's an international superstar. He's an icon. He will own a basketball team at some point. Yes, he's the more popular figure. But I think to Cleveland sports fans, the one who's more beloved is Jose Ramirez. I don't like the look that I'm getting from Owen, and I just saw your face, and I don't like the look I'm getting from you.
Well, here's where I know
this might end up being with the Mike Vrabel, Freddie Kitchens.
Here's the part of it I know you're right about is like approval rating. Jose Ramirez has 100% approval rating. There's nobody could say a bad thing about,
and I don't think they ever will.
The only bad thing I've ever heard anybody say about Jose Ramirez is that they wish he spoke the language better. Which I laugh at. It doesn't matter to me.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
But I've heard people say it.
Whatever.
I've heard people say, like, we don't really know Jose how he really feels because he can't convey it to us.
He gives him his interviews when he wants to give his interviews, and he doesn't have, that's the thing, is he has it so good here. He could talk whenever he wants to.
Now,
because people love him.
He has not been the postseason performer that he's not even in the same stratosphere.
That's the one mark on his actual
playing. Like he's just not as good as LeBron. He's not even in the same stratosphere of how good LeBron is at his sport.
But I'm not saying that he's better than LeBron. That is obviously.
You didn't say that.
I think the Michael Stanley thing's a great comparison because I think in Cleveland you mentioned the name especially to a generation, and especially generations before ours.
Yes.
Michael Stanley, they're like, hell yeah, that's one of the best ever. You go, you go 3 hours outside the region, and they go, I don't know who you're talking about.
It's sad,
and that's a lot
but
of
true.
A lot of people don't understand Jose's outside of Cleveland. How many times I think he's like 6 years in a row he's been in the top 5 for MVP.
If you were driving through, you're right about this. If you're driving through right near Dead Man's Curve on 90 and you see the great big mural and you're going, what's that all about? If you're from Atlanta, Georgia, or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or something like that. But people in Cleveland know. And I think 20 years from now, Jose in Cleveland is a beloved. I think he's our generation's Bernie Kosar.
But here's the part. Here's the part
it's
where
he is such a beloved
comparison.
Personal figure to us. I think that Jose is more beloved here because LeBron, again, he's such a big figure. He means so many things to so many different people. And with that, does breed some controversy.
Yeah, you'd say
what's controversial about Jose Ramirez?
For older people, the comparison would be like Myles Garrett versus Bernie Kosar, right? The older people would all gravitate towards.
It's the same thing
Bernie.
I said about. It's the same thing I said about Nick Chubb as I did versus Myles Garrett.
Now,
Myles Garrett's the better player, but
here's
who's more
the part
beloved?
where I think you're wrong, though.
Please,
if you can only be in one place at one time, and let's say Jose Ramirez, and you told everybody in Cleveland, hey, you could come see Jose Ramirez right now. He's at the corner of East 9th and Lakeside. LeBron James is here. He's in town today, and he is over at Carnegie and whatever.
Not more popular.
The whole city is coming over to see
LeBron.
They
He's
are
not more popular.
They are not coming to get pictures with Jose Ramirez.
But I think
They're coming to get even the people that hate LeBron and his politics.
I think there's
or don't like some of the things he's the champion of players and the player empowerment era.
I think that's what goes.
They're
with
all
beloved.
still trying to get the
Lima,
selfie.
How many of these,
with LeBron over Jose? You agree with me, right?
You are right. You are totally right. But I think that's part of. And let me specify. Beloved. Beloved is the operative word here. Because how many of these, Lima, you and I have been doing this together a long time. So we've had a lot of LeBron shows. Today, LeBron comes back. You remember the call we had about the drywall at the I Promise School, and you and I and Owen and Kid, we all rolled our eyes. We could not believe the guy was making the call. You don't get any of those about Jose Ramirez.
Because they don't know anything about his beliefs.
Obviously.
He stayed out of that. He doesn't communicate any of that.
But when you have beloved, that's what you have there. And I could turn around and go, hey, you know what? LeBron believes what he believes. He stood up for what he believes is right. That all well and good. You can agree, disagree. We can have a civil debate about this. Fine. But when it comes to Jose, I think that there is a beloved factor there where I've never had to worry about where he's going. The only conversations I've ever had to worry about where he's going is whether or not they're going to pay him. It's not about, okay, you know, is there a fit in, fit out tweet? Did he follow or unfollow the Guardians on his social media? What's going on with all the other players there? Like you've never had that with Jose.
Well, because people
You've
are
had
not.
that with LeBron.
People are also not as invested with Jose. The whims
because he's not as good of a player. That is true.
The whims of Jose Ramirez are irrelevant to the city, to the region. LeBron created an economy. I bet if you ask hospitality workers, they would tell you to a man, yeah, we'd like LeBron to come back for one more year.
But you're right. These are all true things. But I just go person to person. If you and I walk down, and you and I both feel the same way about LeBron, we're both big fans. So you go to 10 people in downtown Cleveland, and you're eventually going to get, whether it be 7, 8, or 9, you're eventually going to get to the person and go, I don't like him. Well, why? And they're going to give you, and we're going to go, okay. You're not going to get that with Jose. 10 out of 10 are going to love him.
Well, I
10
just
out
saw,
of 10.
I just saw
20 out of 20,
Donovan
100
Mitchell,
out of 100.
Donovan Mitchell at his last press conference talked about what happened in Minneapolis, and immediately I saw people starting to ding him. Like, nope, I'm done with Donovan Mitchell. I'm done with the Cavs. And I'm like, man, if these guys, if you want these guys to just never comment on world events that are happening that, you know, to them impacts them, like I think you're living in a weird world. That's just not going to happen.
Well, you can always choose to not discuss it if you don't want to discuss it. If you feel that you're uncomfortable to do so. If they feel they're comfortable to do so, again, it's their right to do it. I don't hold LeBron's opinions against him when I look at how good he is and how good he's been.
And what I'm saying is,
for the area.
I think for some people, it only bolsters their opinion. Like holy cow, if I feel like he's standing up for a bunch of people that have no say, no political power, none of that, like to that, you become a hero to those people.
That's a good point.
And so Jose's just not willing to dip his feet in that
There's
pool.
definitely going to be more passion on either side of LeBron. Again, he's a more popular figure. He's a more well-known figure. Again, I use the term icon. He's not just our icon. He is the icon for the entire sport. For Jose, he feels so quintessentially ours. There is no sharing Jose. When it's all said and done, I hope he gets to celebrate a World Series. We all do. I think of all the guys who deserve a championship, he deserves it. We hope that we all get to celebrate together. I don't feel I'm going to have to share him with the Yankees. Or share him with the Dodgers or share him with anybody else. And if we have to share him with anybody else, we're going to blame the ownership. We're going to blame Paul Dolan or David Blitzer whenever he takes over. LeBron, when it's all said and done, like I will tell you this, I kind of got excited reading that. This is kind of sick. I got excited reading the Jeannie Buss article on ESPN because I'm going, okay, less of a chance I have to share him with the Lakers. I always have to share him with the Heat. Yeah. That didn't end amicably, but
without a doubt.
Time heals that wound. And I understood as I read that, I got excited. I go, time will heal this wound too. It'll be fine. But I have to share him with two other teams. I don't have to share Jose Ramirez. He's all ours. Just like Bernie. Bernie got let go by Bill Belichick, who was at the time was Satan to a lot of fans. So not a cuddly figure. Bernie feels like he's ours. And we were happy that Bernie won the championship with the Dallas Cowboys. Michael Stanley is ours. Like there's something about Jose that's just
If
ours.
that is the case, and what we care about more is somebody like Jose taking pay cuts, doing everything he could to be a part of the fabric of this city. If that is the case, do we not value championships as much as we think we do? Does a championship not mean as much to the people of Northeast Ohio as I thought it did? Because we always said whoever wins a championship in this town, that's it. There's no honeymoon period. It's for the rest of their lives. We are going to do it's not just buy them a drink. Like they'll never have to pay for drinks again. It's these guys are going to be absolute legends. We are going to be telling our grandkids about the 2016 run. One team got it done. One team overcame a 3-1
championship
deficit. The other team blew a 3-1 lead.
A championship means a lot. And I never give it up for anything. And the story behind it, I never get up for anything. But I have to wonder because there's been plenty of people who have lined up and told us, and again, we have rolled our eyes at them. This is all part of the discussion about Jose. You and I have rolled our eyes at them, but they call, the Cavs championship wouldn't mean as much as the other two. Oh, wait a minute. You weren't at the parade? Yeah, I was at the parade. But I mean, honestly, I just was there for a good time. Oh, I didn't see the video of you celebrating and crying in your basement when they won the championship? Well, yeah, but, I was worked up and I had a couple of drinks. They don't do that with anybody else. So I have to say, when you have an area that so many people outside the area want to sit there and rip on and say that, everybody, they just work hard enough to leave the area. They're doing well if they leave there. No, we have Jose. He's a beloved figure. He's one of the best in baseball. He's one of the most respected players in baseball. You go to a man and do all those different, they show the videos of them asking who's the smartest player in baseball, who's the most underrated player in baseball, and you go to some very major figures who play the game. They're going, Jose Ramirez over in Cleveland, number one. Number one smartest, number one best. They'll say the same thing for LeBron. Certainly they will. His court vision is fantastic. He is an icon. But I think to us, it's like, hey, LeBron decided to go whenever he wanted to. Jose stayed right here with us. He's dealing with all these every time when you had your heart wrenched out in 2016, when things went bad in 2017, when they're letting guys go, when Paul Dolan's saying just to enjoy, and I'm only using that just to accentuate the point, obviously, just to enjoy Francisco Lindor, and Lindor, quote-unquote, falls asleep during the Game 7 and goes out to the Mets, and all these other guys are just here for a very short period of time before they get to be plucked by a major city that can pay him a lot of money. Jose's here. He's our guy. I think there's a tremendous difference with that. 216-474-0092. Do we want to take these guys here on this? Let's take these guys here on this when we come back. Also, we got a Didi Kinkabwala coming up at 8 o'clock. Evan Mobley, he's out for tonight's game. We will discuss that at some point. And we are waiting for a head coach. We thought there could be smoke out of the chimney over in Berea yesterday. Still no smoke. A Didi Kinkabwala. Who does she think the Browns should pick? That's coming up here at 8 o'clock on The Fan.
All right, real estate market is...
Browns news all off-season long. Stream us on the Odyssey app and on your smart speaker by telling Alexa to play 92.3 The Fan.
Gotta tell you, the reaction's not as bad as I thought they were going to be. Gotta tell you, I thought this yesterday, and I go, man,
hell of a segment when you go in and go, it didn't get killed like I thought.
Why would you think that? Wouldn't that be counter to your argument? If your argument was Jose Ramirez is the man of the people, why would you expect to get crushed?
Because I really thought, that's a great point. I really thought people were just going to go, well, LeBron's bigger and better. What are you talking about? Like you did.
Well, I don't think nobody is dismissing that. Everybody knows LeBron is bigger, has been a better player in his sport. But that's not what you're arguing. You're arguing that Jose
is more beloved here.
Is more beloved.
Yeah. To where there's a lot of people who do also disagree. I want to get these calls. Do we have a Market Watch on our hands here coming up shortly?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the market. We'll get to the Market Watch coming up here momentarily. I do want to get to some of the reaction here. By the way, first, Twitter reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Real Xavier P. Bernie. Now, this is what he wrote. Bernie and Jose are beloved losers. I need a winner. LeBron was responsible for business success downtown. He should be the most beloved because he employed people and made the city more money. Cleveland fans are just stupid. Okay, I completely disagree. I think if LeBron stayed here and he had not won, because that was one of the other ones as well, if he would have stayed here and not won, I think he would be beloved. You disagree with that.
I don't know
because that was another
that.
one that he wrote. The reason people like me, the reason he wrote, LeBron is king here because we all won a championship. If LeBron never left and got a championship, y'all would hate LeBron even more. Well, first off, I don't hate LeBron. You don't hate. This show is pro LeBron. But the other thing is, I think if he stayed here, I think he'd be beloved too. I think we'd be sitting there going, geez, what a curse we have here in Cleveland. I think they would just blame it on the fictitious curse. I don't think that they would hate LeBron. I don't think that they would.
If he had not won a title,
if he had stayed here 23 years and never won a title.
You got to remember how it ended, how down people were about, we're talking before the decision.
I remember exactly how it ended.
And remember, the national media had turned on him completely. Charles Barkley every night was like, he can't win a title.
And
He's too small in big moments. He has these great stats and highlights.
This is where I'm going to turn around on you. Were you or were you not working in Syracuse, New York at the time?
Yeah.
See, I had boots on the ground in Northeast Ohio. I was in radio at that time here. Now, no one knew, but I was. And talking to people, there was a defense there. But there was also a lot of people who felt that he was on his way out. And so, like, when they lost to the Celtics and it looked like he quit and everybody was calling him quit afterwards, it was easier to do it because they felt he was leaving. Had he signed an extension and said, I ain't going anywhere, this is my team, this is my city, and it had just never worked out, there's criticism of everybody, but he would be beloved here. We cherish people who are ours in this city, in this region. And maybe to some degree, it's a sick degree because there are definitely people who claim that they don't care about the championship because he has left twice, which is weird. I'll grant you. But when you have Jose here, he is in the same pantheon because he has stayed here, and it looks like he's going to be here for the rest of his career. He has stayed here, and I know Bernie didn't finish his career here. That was outside his power. Okay, it is the same type of love for a Browns player that you have now with this Guardians player.
Haven't some people gone after Myles Garrett because he's doing all this on not a winning team? Haven't you heard people at times go after him?
And Myles Garrett, I think the worm started to really turn, and you're right, but I think the worm started to really turn when he requested a trade. I think people really started to take the gloves off then. And plus that you are playing a team sport where there's only so much that he can control. Had Myles had never said any of that, maybe he would still have that same feeling. Nick Chubb was let go. Nick Chubb, they wanted to keep. Nick was let go. I think it's different.
So if Myles Garrett were to win the Super Bowl next year with the Cleveland Browns, and then a few years later say, all right, now I want to go play for Dallas. Are you telling me people would...
Are the Browns good or bad?
People would... I don't know.
How good is he?
So that all that
you got to know. I got to know the scenario before I answer it.
I gave you the scenario. He won the Super Bowl with the Browns. Shouldn't that be end of discussion? Why are you putting contingencies?
It's not just end of discussion. It's not just end of discussion.
So we just don't care about championships here like we think we do.
I think that yes.
Like
I do believe that.
You have to behave in a specific way that we don't find.
Because fans want to be loved here. Okay, I think fans are tired of being told. Now I'm getting mad. I don't mean to get mad, but here we are. I think fans are tired of being told here, people who live here and die here and have no other options, they are tired of being told that the only good you can do for yourself is leaving the region. I think they're tired of being made fun of from people on the outside. So, yes, a guy who stays his entire career resonates with them.
I'm just not that insecure. My life does not go with the whims of athletes.
Congratulations on all your success.
But doesn't that sound insecure to you?
But you're this world traveler.
But doesn't that sound like... We're putting too many.
Anthony.
Hold on. We're putting too many contingencies on a championship. My whole life it was just win me a championship. That's all I care about. And you're saying, yeah, you got to win the championship, but you have to take a pay cut, but you have to agree to stay here the rest of your life, but you have to endear yourself to Clevelanders on a daily basis. It's like, well, then what is it?
And tell me what percentage of the population isn't someone insecure in their real life. 99% of people are insecure in some fashion.
You shouldn't be looking to athletes to be the North Star on whether or not you're feeling that good.
Sports is pretty damn important here.
You could never. With Charles Barkley has been saying that his entire life. You shouldn't be looking at me.
Sports is pretty damn important here. That's why I can't say the rest of that sentence because I'll end up in a meeting. That's why we tend to do better in this city than in our format in other cities. Sports is pretty damn important here, is it not? In this region of the country, here, Pittsburgh, I'll give them that credit. Detroit, Michigan, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia. That's why it's that much more important here. We tend to do better with people listening and people wanting to participate than our brethren in our company in other parts of the country. For that reason specifically, because in other things, there's some things that we have to deal with that we'd rather not deal with, and we're kind of quote-unquote stuck here in so many ways, and we make the best of it. And our sports team is how we make the best of it in so many ways, even though they let us down so many times. Yeah, it is a little bit insecure, I'll grant you. But again, you tell me a person who isn't somewhat insecure, who's completely not insecure, and I'll either call them A, they're lying to themselves, or B, narcissistic. Jeff in Cleveland, hello.
What's up, Ken?
Hi, Jeff.
You're hitting the nail on the head. There's a massive difference between staying here for your career and wanting to be here because you love the city. Jose Ramirez wants to be here because he loves the city and he's taking pay cuts. He's not doing what Myles Garrett did by going on Radio Row, then slamming the door shut with his big contract. Same with Deshaun Watson. Same with some other people.
So can I ask you a question, Matt?
It's Jeff, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Can I ask you a question? If going forward, if I tell you that Myles Garrett, you can pick one of these two paths. Myles Garrett stays here the rest of his career, even takes a pay cut next time around, but the Browns do not win the Super Bowl. Or he wins the Super Bowl, but then goes home and plays for Dallas in a few years. What are you picking?
This is an interesting question because rephrase the first
And that's a champion's pose for the sports boy.
No, it's not. You have to give them the scenario.
Yes, indeed.
You have to give him the
scenario. First of your question.
You don't have to answer this, Jeff. He's full of it.
Because he knows.
He's not. No, he doesn't.
Well, here's the thing. He's already made the decision to take money versus loving the city. So that's why it's interesting. But I would
wait. That doesn't compute to me. You're not allowed to take. You're not allowed. Hold on. You're not allowed to take the most amount of money. That automatically means you're not loyal to the city. What is that? Shouldn't we be loyal to the dominant players?
Well, hold on a minute. He didn't just take the money. He held the franchise hostage by going on Radio Row and talking crap about the team and everybody else. There's a difference.
And then got the contract the next day. Why didn't the Browns just give him the contract or before all that?
I can't answer that question. I'm not building.
Shouldn't your problem be with the Browns?
You're only giving him half a scenario. You're not giving him the full scenario. You didn't answer the question. I asked him. Jeff, stay with me. I asked you, are the Browns, in your scenario, are the Browns good or bad?
And I said irrelevant. We got the Super Bowl in my scenario.
It is relevant.
Then it's
definitely relevant.
Again, you're putting too many different asterisks.
And you're also giving me a scenario that isn't realistic because we don't have a quarterback that we think is going to take us to a Super Bowl because it's a more important position. So if we had a quarterback, there is no thought in it. Exactly, Jeff. Thank you very much for hanging on.
That's how amazing Myles Garrett is.
Because
that's amazing.
He's a fan. No, not one Browns fan out there has said Myles Garrett
Sam Darnold's
sucks.
about to win a Super Bowl, or Drake May. You've seen how deplorable Drake May has been in the playoffs.
You would pull them personally. You would give them
and both those teams would do anything to have Myles Garrett.
Even Sam Darnold, you would do that. And Myles Garrett would do the same.
I just love how the caller basically stopped him in his tracks.
Because you gave him an impossible scenario.
Oh, shoot, I do like Super Bowls.
You gave him an
Now I have to admit that my whole call was a fraud.
It's an unrealistic scenario.
Darn it. I do want to win that Super Bowl trophy.
You gave him an unrealistic
That sounds like a fun thing to have.
It would be a fun thing to have. You gave him something. Don't call him an idiot.
He was
you
an
gave
idiot.
him something unrealistic.
He totally backed out on everything he was just espousing.
No, he did
just
not.
in one fell swoop, it was gone.
No, he did not.
He just hadn't thought it out. I'm helping you guys think this stuff out before you have dumb things to say on the radio.
These guys just don't deal with a slippery wizard live in person every day. I know you're stupid, Tricks, and yes, I'll underline stupid, because you didn't even give him a back time scenario of it. I asked you specific questions about your scenario that you did not answer.
Yeah, I'll cheer. Ken's basically saying, I'll cheer a Super Bowl if the athlete does exactly what I need him to do the rest of his career.
True. That is
you don't
not
own these
true.
guys, Ken. Get off it.
I'm not get up on your high horse and say you think fans don't act like they have a kinship with a player if they stay.
And that's how delusional the fans are that you think any of these athletes truly care about you.
Yeah,
they do not. They don't know what city they're in half the time.
Champions Post. So that means loyalty means that much more. That means loyalty
and that's what I'm saying.
More to the fans.
And that's what I'm saying. So if Jose Ramirez went to another organization and had been there the whole time, you think he'd be trying to get to Cleveland?
Champions pose.
No,
he wouldn't. In an era where they have idea, where it's nameless great faces, loyalty means that much more.
These fans have these players have no idea what city they're even playing at half the time.
Your Honor.
They think all of you are the same, and the dumbest thing the fans fall for,
doesn't make it any better.
The dumbest thing the fans fall for is they think that they're special. They do not know the difference between a Steeler fan, a Browns fan, or a Rams fan.
Accents.
And that is so reinforced every single year.
Aditi Kegabwala. Next on The Fan.
Hey, everybody. It's Anthony Lima for Van Scoy here.
right, all the best segments from all our shows you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Still on the search. We are searching.
That's a nice little breather.
In the words of Leonard Skinner. That was amazing. That was amazing. A lot of people agree with you. A lot of people agree with me. That's what we do here at Sports Talk Radio. A lot of people are going to agree with Aditi Kinkhabwala. Of course, hold on. We have a contest here. Go ahead and give it.
The Fan, looking for a winner. Enter the code word ENERGY, ENERGY, 923thefan.com before 9 a.m. Your chance to win. Pair of tickets to see Stavros Halkias, the Dreamboat Tour, MGM Northfield Park, on February 14th at 7 p.m., 21 and over venue. He is a big-time Baltimore Ravens fan.
Yes, he is.
So what does that mean?
He has very funny videos exasperated with the Ravens.
How would he feel about Todd Monken and his horses coming to Northeast Ohio?
He would probably have commentary on that, yeah.
Get tickets at livenation.com. It's all from Live Nation and Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Smooth as silk. Apologies for that. Let's go to the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. And now we welcome on Aditi Kinkhabwala. Aditi from CBS Sports. Hello, Aditi.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
We're doing well. Who do you think it's going to be?
I still sort of feel like it. This is so hard. And I hate being pegged in a corner like this, too. But it certainly feels like, can you hear the eggs sizzling? I'm making my children scrambled eggs this morning while I talk to you.
I like them over easy.
I never know what's like that. Oh, you do? That's gross.
I've gotten old. As
I've
become older, I don't like scrambled eggs. I'm an adult now.
Well, my daughter used to really be into omelets, but my son likes them scrambled. So, throw some spinach in there, throw some vegetables, little cheese, hot sauce.
Eat spinach, huh?
Sounds like vegetables.
What are you talking about? Why you got to hold on? Why you got to make a fat joke? Why you got to make a fat joke?
That wasn't even a fat joke.
Oh, that's a fat joke.
I tell you what, my wife puts in all my meals, and you're like, you're putting spinach in that.
She puts like kale in. Yeah, well, she puts spinach in things that don't need spinach in.
She
puts spinach in an apple pie.
In almost everything. Well, that might be pushing it, but I like putting spinach in almost everything. It's iron. Didn't you ever watch Popeye as a kid?
Yeah, my parents didn't let me watch cartoons.
Ken goes to Popeyes.
I see.
Good food.
I mean, not as a kid. I mean, I guess we were a little.
It's good food.
Too young for that. Anyway, does it feel to you like momentum is indicating that Jim Schwartz has a really, really, really good shot at this?
Yeah, it does. But this is why, I don't like this. And there's been so many different things, and we've all gotten texts of some sort here. This is very NBA. This is very, usually this is much more tight-lipped in the NFL. This is very NBA. A lot of different people chiming in from a lot of different places. And Lima and I, Aditi, I'm not going to skewer you. If you're like, hey, you know what? I think I'd rather have Nate Shieldhouse or Jim Schwartz or Anthony, whatever. Because I think we're all just kind of like, yeah, whoever they pick, they got to roll up their sleeves and do some hard work here. There was one name that was Cliff Kingsbury, who I would have been appalled if they would have chosen him.
Right.
Well, they're not going to choose him.
Sure.
So, I'm not going to deride Nate Shieldhouse or Jim Schwartz or Anthony Lynn or Todd Monken for that matter. I really am not.
And I think this is one of those things. Look, it's funny because I had this conversation with someone in the organization a few days ago. Of course, we live in a world of recency. And recency hasn't been great. We are in a what have you done for me lately world. And so we look at the last couple of years and there's not a lot of faith or trust or there's a lot of curiosity. There's clearly a lot of misinformation out there. Let me tell you that I have been told no candidates were asked to write an essay to apply for this job. The way I was told it was that there was a 5-question questionnaire that sort of took care of a lot of things, saved a bit of time, gleaned a little bit of information. No, I'm applying to Harvard and I need to write a personal statement essay. Nothing like that. However, the Browns have clearly been very, very, very thorough. They had a coach that nobody in that building, everybody in that building agrees, was a good man and had moments of success. We saw Kevin Stefanski got a job immediately, introduced yesterday in Atlanta. but it still wasn't the right fit. So my sense from what I'm learning about, or what I have learned about the process and the methodical way they have gone about this, is that they're trying to be really, really intentional in making sure ownership, GM, head coach are all on the same page in terms of organization building, in terms of what matters to them. We know it's an organization that cares intensely about player development, cares about data analytics, research, using those tools in not only development, but game day management, all of those things. So they're taking their time. They're not being willy-nilly about it. The Haslam's don't want to yet again fire a coach in a year as their early tenure, something that was a mark of their early tenure. I also don't feel that it's very easy to sit here and say, okay, well, people are saying no, and so the Browns are going to have to settle. I don't know that I'm getting that sense. We've known from the start that the Browns have really, really wanted to keep Jim Schwartz aboard. Nobody has said whether Jim Schwartz is willing to stay if he's not the head coach. My guess is his leverage is lost if he says that. So he's keeping that up in the air. That's something the organization has to weigh, that if you go in a different direction, do you get to keep a defensive coordinator who clearly motivated his unit to bring it, even when the offense wasn't upholding its end of the bargain? You've got a defensive coordinator who, in our meetings with him over the last several years, I will say this, he has made clear that he wants to be a head coach again, that he learned from the first time around, that his feeling was always that ownership is so quick to give young guys who've never done it a chance, when maybe experience can be incredibly valuable. You've got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit on the record advocating that they'd like to play for him as a head coach. So those are all strong things, strong factors. And you've got someone who understands the quirks of the organization. And I don't say that as a knock. Every organization has quirks, but understands the organization. So it's a fine little dance here. And I also think that when you bring in somebody, there's something that we talked about in Pittsburgh a lot. When you bring in someone who's been in another organization, they have certain expectations of how things should be done. And then the organization needs to decide, are they willing to concede that or give that to somebody new? And especially somebody new who's a first-year head coach who's never done it. So this is all part of it. I think it's coming to a wrap, but I don't think that I don't think it's fair to say that the Browns are settling. I do think that internally they feel good about their process. And I think it's standard fare. Again, everybody that listens to you knows that I live in the city of Pittsburgh. Mike McCarthy was introduced yesterday. The man choked up talking about how he was born a Steelers fan and getting to coach his family's favorite team, his favorite team. But this is certainly being met in this city as an incredibly uninspiring hire. The man hasn't even had a day to do the job yet, you know? So I don't know. If you're a fan, you decide. Are you a fan and are you in it?
Yeah. I'm thinking about Mike McCarthy. Well, no, because I'm thinking about Mike McCarthy because now I'm just like, I made jokes before. Well, I made jokes before, but I'm like, I don't think he's a bad head coach. I just think it's more, 9-8, 8-9, whatever. But at the same time, well, go ahead.
But this is different. The Steelers had a choice. They could have changed the way that they do business. They could have come up to the National Football League in the year 2026. The Steelers are in many, many ways still a mom and pop organization. There is a lot of necessary support infrastructure that just is not in place. They've done things the same way for 19 years. Mike Tomlin obviously had an incredibly outsized influence over things. So now, are you willing to build up that infrastructure? Are you willing to upgrade? Are you willing to modernize? And by that, I mean game day management, data and research and analytics, player support. These are all areas that just don't exist in the way that they do around most teams. And if the Steelers had brought in a young coach who had seen that wherever he was. It expected that would be a major cultural sea change. Mike McCarthy is someone who can operate under the parameters that the Steelers have established, the way that they like to work. He's also someone that they believe can identify a quarterback, and that's clearly been a problem. The Steelers have not had a plan at the quarterback position for a long time. So I'm just offering reasoning, okay? When I say all of these things, I'm not necessarily advocating. I'm not saying this is who my choice would have been, but last I checked, I did not have the money to be an NFL owner. So I get to just share rationale and reasoning that has been shared with me and observations from covering the league.
All right, Didi, I have attempted to make a case for Jim Schwartz, and I get roundly booed off the airwaves, basically, because of his record way back when he coached Detroit. I said, I actually probably don't think that's all that relevant. I think more so that the Haslams have gotten a chance to know him over time. He has been one of the great hires, even in the division, in this time. He's well-respected, won a Super Bowl as a coordinator, and his players love him. It wouldn't shock me, and I've kind of heard to the effect that some of his players have definitely vouched for him for the head coaching job. So why is that such a apparently terrible take that Jim Schwartz can't be a head coach in 2026?
I think it's like TV. Executives like the shiny new toy, right? They like this idea. I think fans maybe get enamored of somebody young and shiny who's spoken about and seems to have potential. But if Ken is going to call himself old, then I have to call myself old too. I think that there's a lot to be said for wisdom, for experience, for having been through it once, learned from the first time. Kevin Stefanski was pretty open about how he would lean on Jim Schwartz, and Jim Schwartz would talk about his own experience that, when I was in a situation like this, I handled it this way and I shouldn't have, or this was a misstep. You sometimes only learn that by going through it. So one thing that Cleveland Browns fans can hang their hats on is how phenomenal this defense has been. And that Jim Schwartz believes in accountability and player accountability. So that certainly is a strength. Who would it have been, though, Ken? Lima, who would it have been? Who's the guy that if on day one, if they said goodbye to Kevin Stefanski one day and then the next day introduced someone, who's the guy that would have gotten everybody unbelievably riled up and excited in the city planning its parade?
You say it.
Well, I was going to say Harbaugh.
Oh, I was going to say Kurt Cignetti.
Oh.
I swear to God, I thought you were going to say Cignetti. I'm sorry. Go ahead. A silence fell over the room. I'm sorry. You guys go right on ahead.
So you think Harbaugh? You think John Harbaugh?
In realism, Harbaugh. Yeah, Harbaugh. John Harbaugh. That would have been the only
Okay, one person.
Yeah.
One for anybody else.
Yeah.
And the Giants pulled out all stops and completely changed their front office structure and are doing business in a completely different way in order to make sure that they have him.
I think a lot of Browns fans would probably celebrate something like that. Got to tell you. I'm serious. Because I think a lot of folks are looking at this now. I think a lot of fans, because John Harbaugh wouldn't give you the time of day and McDermott seemed like a non-consideration, I think you look at it and go, well, what's the problem? Well, the roster's probably the problem. All right, who's in charge of the roster? Well, Andrew Berry's been in charge of the roster. Who's still here? Andrew Berry. So they see him as a roadblock for big-name candidates that are there. And so if they're not going to be able to get a name that they know and trust, then I think that a lot of fans look at it. I don't blame any of them because I've flirted with the idea myself. Young, exciting, kind of unknown, kind of mysterious. And Grant Udinski filled that role. He's out. Nate Shieldhouse fills that role to a certain degree. He's still in.
But that's you're just guessing. You're guessing what that person you could. And again, you have to remember the quarterback situation in Cleveland, just like in Pittsburgh, just like in Arizona, is not settled. Is not. You don't have Josh Allen here, and you don't necessarily have even a Jackson Dart or a Cam Ward. young first-round pick who's shown a ton of potential, and the organization is 100% in lockstep that this is someone they believe will grow into their franchise quarterback. So that complicates things. Obviously, the jobs where a quarterback is in place or a quarterback is seemingly in place, are more desirable.
Aditi Kekabala joining us, CBS Sports. What did you think of Kevin's press conference yesterday?
I thought he was great. I mean, he was Kevin, right? He was funny, which he is. He clearly made an effort to know who he was talking to. He brushed off things as you would expect, like Baker Mayfield. I thought it was really, Matt Ryan and Kevin Stefanski look at football in a very, very similar way. They are absolutely aligned. I thought it was very key how Kevin talked about the best type of accountability comes from the locker room, and that player-driven accountability is the most important thing. That's something that clearly was missing in Cleveland the last few years. I think that his saying from day one that Tommy Rees will be the play caller is fantastic. He clearly believes in him, trusts him. They work very well together. It will give Kevin an opportunity to be more of the CEO type, which he's really good at. And I hope that this means, too, that he'll really get to spend time with all of his players. Kevin is great one-on-one. Not that he can't command a room, but you really, really get a sense of who he is and how he genuinely cares and his authenticity when you have a one-on-one conversation with him. And if he is not bogged down in all of the minutia and the time it takes to do the play calling, the practice script, then that will give him more time to connect with players in all three phases. And I think that that's really good for him. Matt Ryan was so vocal in talking about the best benefit to a quarterback is a strong run game and why everything needs to start with the run. You know that that's exactly how Kevin feels. So good that they're aligned there. I think it'll be good. Now, obviously, if you're paying attention to social media, there's some winning over to be done with a certain segment of the community in Atlanta that has been misinformed about what exactly went down in Cleveland. So hopefully they can overcome that narrative, and hopefully they can set the record straight. I mean, winning cures all. So if they can start playing some good football, putting together some good offense, winning games, and hopefully that turns. But I will say on a personal level, the personal slander of Kevin troubles me.
Yeah. Aditi, thank you very much for the time. We'll talk to you hopefully after we have ourselves a head coach.
All right. Well, good luck. Hopefully it happens soon.
Aditi,
and everybody's excited.
Yes, ma'am. Aditi Kekabala on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. We'll get into that and whether or not there's any fire's remorse coming up. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
LeBron James and the Lakers. Cavs won 4 in a row and 11 of the last 15 games after the win against the Magic. LeBron and the Lakers come to Rocket Arena having won 4 of their last 5. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports.
with real-life experiences at top hospitals. Students receive specialized support, including tutoring, mentoring, and job placement assistance. Learn more at try-c.edu/nursing.
92.3 The Fan's big game coverage, presented nationally by Tide. It's got to be clean. It's got to be Tide.
You've been holding out on us over there.
What do you mean?
Come on, spill the beans.
Well, you've
been holding out, folks. You guys, this should have been at 6:00. I can't believe you've been holding out on this.
You just told Aditi, who
What'd
we
I
had
tell
on,
Aditi?
that you've been getting texts. We've all been getting texts.
We've all been getting texts. This is the most outrageous.
Just getting text doesn't mean anything.
It's not outrageous. It's just like, it's unbelievable. This is very NBA. Everybody talks in the NBA. There's always outside back channels. It's not like this in the NFL. Everybody's talking. Everybody's whispering. Everybody's got a source. You should have shared this at 6 a.m.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to share.
Yes, you can. Why can't you share this?
Some of this stuff is delivered in full confidence. Why would I violate that?
Then you know what? You want me to share it? You want me to risk going into a meeting?
Kenny, I don't think it's a smart play, especially with the Kalshi betting markets operating at the whims of every sentence that comes out of our mouth.
Well, actually, now you kind of got me worried because I don't want to influence any betting market.
This is real money on the line. So all of a sudden you're going to tell me
influence any of that.
You're going to tell me that the Kalshi markets are going to be swayed just because someone's horses are going to be boarded here?
What is that? I watched that thing on 60 Minutes. I still don't know what the hell it is. You can just bet on anything that happens, so I could be like, well, Ken's going to have a glazed donut because it's a Sunday morning and he goes and gets his son's donuts. Like, you can do that?
You are laughing, but I just put $100 on that.
It would be a good bet if that was offered on that app or any app. I'm just telling you right now, I give them donuts on Sunday morning.
Look,
when I'm not doing like football stuff.
Look, yesterday at about 6 p.m., Nate Shieldhouse, it looked as good as gold. His numbers, I think it was up to 75% of the bets were coming in on him. And then there's been a little bit of a role reversal. Now all of a sudden, Todd Monken.
Stop beating around the bush.
Is right now the favorite, but it's close.
You're doing slippery wizard things. Stop beating around the bush. You don't have to.
Listen,
I mean, just come out and say it. Yeah, you do have to come out and say it. Just come out and say what you got texted.
All I know is this. Todd Monken is an owner of multiple horses, and the horse community right now is talking. And boy, are they talking.
Well, there's
talking or are they neighing?
No, Mr. Ed could talk. So if you could get Mr. Ed on the show, forget Joe Thomas.
All I know is this. They're saying...
Is Bob Baffert available? Can he come on the show, or is he still persona non grata?
No, he's still on a 3-year suspension from
Fusa EC Pegasus. What's that horse doing? Bring her on. Or him, I'm not sure.
Look, the Baltimore, the BMV, is that what they call that region? They are saying goodbye, horses. And here in Northeast Ohio, they might be saying, hello, horses. That's all I know. Go to Kalshi and
what is with all these football
do with
guys?
It what you want.
Why do you guys all want to own horses? I don't get it. It looks like the worst I worked at a horse farm. I worked on a horse farm, guys. It wasn't that bad. It's not as disgusting as you think it is. I mean, when you see it go down, it's disgusting. But other than that, it's not that bad. I'm just like, they're so expensive. You have to really love horses. Really love them.
Well, and once the horses get loose, we have one video in particular that Kenny and I send back and forth.
Bring the horses to the inside, please. That's what we're going to be doing at Browns practice if he gets the job. We're just going to do that the whole time.
The one woman who gets
false
absolutely
start. Bring the horses to the inside, please. I can't get the job because I won't be able to focus. I'll be at camp standing there, and I'll just be texting you. False start. Bring the horses to the inside.
Well, there's more room over there now for the horses.
It's true.
I mean, how many houses did they raise?
Thoroughbreds.
It's a horse haven over there.
Camp fight breaks out. Stop horsing around.
Stop horsing around. Right. No horseplay.
Why didn't you tell me this at 6 o'clock?
Hey, Kenny, again.
They're listening for information. Seriously, breaking news anytime. That's what I'm telling everybody. YouTube Live, 92.3 The Fan, 92.3thefan.com, 92.3 The Fan on the free Odyssey app. 6 o'clock. I told people what I was getting texted at 6 o'clock. You sat on this until 8:32? That there could be horses moving into town?
Look, there are things that need to be
or
vetted.
Will Jimmy Haslam say,
saddled on up to the show.
Damn it. Now I got to wait a minute so I can use my line.
Then I had to ask a vet. Are the horses coming?
I'm a vet.
Bob Baffert. He was on speed dial.
I already used Bob Baffert. You can't put him in there now. It's already been used.
That's the Baffert rule.
This is the other one. This is like one other guy. At every damn horse race, it's Bob Baffert and who?
They're going to have a bunch of callers calling in going,
Dwayne
in
Lucas.
fact, I hate anybody who had a pony, and I don't want Todd Monken as coach. That's what you're going to get. Now, that's a deep pool.
Was it Dwayne Lucas? Is that the other one?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's the other one.
No idea.
And Jim Rome.
What about him?
He's a horse lover.
Mike Francesa owns horses. If you had money for horses, I just find money to do other things. What? What are we doing?
Yeah, you heard it.
What's the power ranking?
That's right.
What's the something about horses? What's the power ranking? Top 3 horses? Mr. Ed's number 1. Mr. Ed with a bullet is number 1.
No, don't say that.
Well, actually,
Wait.
no, you're not allowed to say that.
Pyomai.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. All right, take it back.
It's Tony's favorite.
Pyomai's number 1. If you're willing to kill a man over a horse, that's number 1. Ralph had it coming to him in the first place.
Yeah.
Number 2, Mr. Ed. Number 3, I can't think of another horse. Seabiscuit?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's an actual horse.
Oh,
Pyomai and Mr. Ed were not, well, there was a real horse who played Mr. Ed, but this is big. You should have done this at 6 o'clock, is what I'm saying.
I didn't want to waste the people's time. It's a fluid situation.
Well, it does say the Browns are holding their first week of preseason. Churchill Downs.
God, I hate you. Pick a coach, please. Pick a coach.
See ya, Greenbrier.
And then if they don't pick him, it's bleep you and the horse you rode in on.
Wow.
And that's how it all goes.
What would Sam Rutigliano, what would Coach Sam say about all this? You can lead a horse to the water, Kenny. Look at Ken's face.
He's a horse of a different color. Right?
A different shade of red I didn't know existed.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We had a horse named Petey when I worked at the horse farm. Good horse. Real good horse.
Now we're doing
That's the third horse.
Yeah,
that's
that
the third
it.
horse.
No, that's a real horse. Top 3 horses at the horse farm.
I told you, I got thrown off a mini horse.
I don't remember the other
Wow.
ones.
Miss Pat's daycare, way back in the day.
We would go to football practice, and I'd stay over at my buddy Kyle's house, and we'd go to football practice in the morning. It's like 5:30 in the morning. Pete would come out and neigh at us. I swear to God. Great horse. 216-474-0092. Dustin. Oh, here we go. Dustin in Kentucky. Hello.
You would know better.
Morning, gentlemen. Calling you from the Derby.
No, you're not.
No, I am. All right, no, technically I am in Miami, but I'm going to pretend to be at the Kentucky Derby. And I'm seeing horses right now being ushered off.
Why?
All right, now, well, I don't know. This is according to what Lima's saying.
Dude, wait a minute. His horses would be in Maryland. They wouldn't be Owings Mills. They wouldn't be in Kentucky.
That's not where you house the horses, Ken. You only house the
wait,
thoroughbreds
but Dustin, that doesn't make any sense. If he was coming to Cleveland, why wouldn't he just leave his horses in Kentucky?
Okay, I see Cal Ripken Jr. ushering these horses out of here. All right, and Ray Lewis.
Oh, come on.
Come on. Come on.
Well, it's not Len Bias.
Okay, get out of here. Jeez.
What the hell? We got to be able to trust. We got to have a trust.
Reverse horse kick.
What the hell?
Look,
Stand behind him.
I'll tell you right now what.
Mark Salmon. I think Todd Monken is a shoe-in.
Works. Look, you got Munkin, Schwartz, Shieldhouse, 3-horse race.
It would be more fun than Stefanski. I mean, you're talking horses already. I didn't realize that we were going to call it Munkin around. Horsing around is way better. Yeah. All right, here we go. BoJack Horseman.
Another one.
All right. Ken Carman, what a segment. All right, according to, if you're just tuning in, Lima got a text yesterday that there might be a certain candidates from Maryland, his horses could be moving to Northeast Ohio. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. This is where we're at on this coaching search on The Fan.
Paid as a way of stealing the moments that matter most. Good news.
part of our shows. Powered by Sheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. The home of Westwood One's coverage of the Super Bowl.
Please welcome the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Big thanks to Aditi, who joined us at 8 o'clock this morning. Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer, celebrated Meat Man around the world. He joins us at 9:20 this morning. Browns like to announce news in the morning. We are still waiting. This is still going on. A lot of conversation about horses and Todd Monken's possibly Todd Monken's horses being moved to the area, which that might be... To a lot of people, that might be like, well, first off, the following that a guy's horses could be moved here is ridiculous, but this is sports. And it's the Browns. It might sound like it's the easiest compromise because he's an offensive mind. He's experienced. He's done a good job. He did a good job. He did. I would have taken his side over Freddie's, frankly, when it comes to the offense. I like Freddie. I hate saying it. I like the guy. He's a good dude. But you would have taken Todd Monken's side. Obviously, he went on to great success at Georgia. He had some very nice success at Baltimore. Obviously, that petered out. You're looking for something that's going to help your offense. So he would be a not offensive offensive mind. I'm not trying to be cute there. The other side of it would be, okay, how would he work with Jim Schwartz? You would feel that they're both veterans, so they would work well together. Now, you would hope so. Now, I'm not sure if they are oil and water or anything like that. I would like it to be. I mean, if you're going to keep Jim Schwartz, and it seems like they are, because he's still under contract. And by the way, Mary Kay will join us coming up tomorrow morning at 8:20. Might have a coach by then. You might be talking about Nate Shieldhouse's dogs and cats by the time we get to that time. I'm not sure. But Mary Kay will ask her a little bit more about the Todd Monken history here and whether or not she feels that they could work together if we don't have a head coach by then. So it feels like they could work together. One would be in charge of the offense. The other one would be in charge of the defense. That'd be fine. I got to tell you, though, I shared this on the air yesterday, is some of the stuff that I do know. And again, a lot of people are talking in a lot of different places. Some of the stuff that I do know, one of the major concerns that I've had, and other people have had it as well, is because I heard this about Mike McDaniel, is that Mike McDaniel might get run over by Jim Schwartz when it comes to the decisions. Whereas, like, it might start well with Mike McDaniel, but if he doesn't see things that he likes, Jim Schwartz is definitely going to let his opinion be known, which is healthy and fine until maybe you turn guys against people. I do know that was one of the major concerns from the Mike McDaniel camp, if there is such. I do know that former Browns personnel have said that it wouldn't be a problem with Jim Schwartz if Nate Shieldhouse were to get the job. So hopefully we can put that to bed, because that was one of the things that's like, hey, man, if you're going to go outside the box, you're going to get a young person to be the head coach of this football team. You're going to go Nate Shieldhouse. You have to have everybody sign up and be on board to help him, or this thing is really not going to get off the ground. It's going to be terrible. And I would tell you this: if they were to select Nate Shieldhouse and Jim Schwartz felt he couldn't do it, then you know what? Go ahead and raise hell to get yourself out of that contract. Because I need, in the words of Kevin Stefanski, I need volunteers, not hostages. So I need everybody to be on board. And if that meant losing Jim Schwartz, I would hate to lose Jim Schwartz with this defense, obviously. But I guess that would have to be the way it is. Because I look at it this way. A lot of people have come down to the point of, Jimmy would like Jim Schwartz. Andrew Berry would like Nate Shieldhouse. Now, Albert Breer, he said that that's a little bit overblown. You can hear that 923thefan.com. He was on Afternoon Drive yesterday. Albert said that thought was a bit overblown. I would say this. If you've kept Andrew through all of this, if you trusted Andrew to do all of this for the last 6 years, because a lot of fans, a lot of you guys listening, you'd have moved on 3 years ago from Andrew. You'd have moved on because you would have moved on once we were knowing what we were knowing and all the other things, and you found out about Deshaun Watson. Most 90% of Browns fans, bye-bye, this is bad. We are still left holding the bag on this. Goodbye. If you've kept him through that, if you've kept him through all this, if you have made a decision to say that this is what you're telling people. You believe, fans don't believe, and certainly the media doesn't, you believe that this offense is better than what your fan base thinks they are. You believe that there are, and yeah, Harold Fannin Jr.'s real nice, guys, real nice. And Quinshon Judkins could be real nice. And I got to tell you, I might like Nate Shieldhouse because then I know that Breece Hall might be up for grabs, and I'll just add more talent to the mix. And if Nate Shieldhouse is so damn good, you better figure out a way to put these guys all together. They believe their offense is better, so they believe that it's the offense's ideas, the person leading the offense, their ideas that are not putting good players in a good position to go out there and lead. If you've believed all this, then why wouldn't you let Andrew run the point on who's the head coach? Wouldn't you? And I think, I got to tell you, from everything I know, I think that Jimmy understands that. And so maybe it's just where if he was 35 years old and you just don't trust the youth, it's your football team, okay. But I got to tell you, in the back of my mind, I will be wondering, like, is it already in the back of your mind that you might move on from Andrew? Because I don't want you thinking about moving on from Andrew as much as everybody else does. I don't want you thinking about moving on from Andrew because then it just seems like this coming year is going to be a waste. It's not going to go to the place that people want it to go. I don't think they're a playoff team. You got to move forward in some way. 5-11 is still bad. 5-12 is still bad compared to 3-14. It's all bad. It's got to get to around 500. I got to take a step forward here with this decision.
Yeah, but we just got to always remember, like, and it's not just unique to Cleveland. It's there are 32 owners who have to sign off on the big ticket items of every team. And obviously, the head coach is right up there, as big of a decision as you're going to make, within these organizations. Mm-hmm. And, got to remember, like, the difference between, there are more similarities, and it gets brought up all the time, between Jerry Jones and Jimmy Haslam than maybe some people are comfortable with. But Jimmy has always been a football guy. I mean, football has been in his family. Obviously, there have been all sorts of Haslams that have played, major college football. And, it's been something that he's been a minority owner with the Steelers. Like, is my guess, Jimmy Haslam can pick up the phone and call a bunch of people that are in the NFL right now and try to get answers for stuff. That tends to be what owners do in sports, believe it or not. We would never find out about that stuff, right, unless it was leaked. So it doesn't surprise me that Jimmy Haslam has strong opinions on who a head coach should be. And I don't know, you talked about the trust that he has in Andrew Berry. Sure, I'm sure he does. But does he have so much trust that he's going to stay out of a coaching search altogether? No, of course not. Him and D have been sitting in on interviews.
I think it's just unrealistic to say an owner needs to stay out of interviews.
How many do?
Fans, none.
I don't think our fans understand that sometimes.
None of them do. It's just that simple. I don't think there is maybe, I don't want to give up the person who might say it, even though I think they'd have no problem coming on the air and say it. Maybe the family down in Tampa Bay. Maybe. Because, they're the kids of the owner, and maybe that's different. I'm not sure, but I really don't think so. Because you're hiring a representative. You're hiring a face of your franchise. That's why, and there's a lot of human nature that leads why this is all trending young. I mean, you think about it. You got Sean McVay. Sean McVay was 30 years old when he takes over the job. They go on to great success. It works. And it's the same thing. It's human nature. You get a bunch of older people around. What are older guys like? They like younger things. And so they look at a guy who's 30-something years old. This is somebody who makes you feel young. This is somebody who has ideas that are for the future. We're forward-thinking. We're supposed to be looking into the future, not dwelling on the past. And so, yeah, it is obvious that there is a lot of cachet to going young now in the NFL. It is a trend. And trends tend to follow. And I think it's human nature. But you can always look at it and say, what's been best for my franchise? What is going to be best for my franchise? And right now, I mean, if you're making Steelers comparisons, and you just did, the Steelers have 50 years, 69. I mean, we're talking 60 years almost of history that would back them up. Why to go to a guy like Mike McCarthy? For us, we're just over 10 years into this thing. We're still trying some things out, man. We're still, we got wowed by this guy. We wanted him. It didn't work out. We made a choice for conviction. It didn't work out. We let a guy wow us in the interview. That didn't work out either. They're still figuring it out. And I think for the owners and for Andrew Berry, it would be, hey, it's my football team. If I own the Browns, Kenny Carman, I'm in on these meetings. And Lima, you're in on these meetings. And Bob, driving down 480, don't act like you wouldn't be in on the meetings. You're in on the meetings. But I have to ask myself, why is Andrew still employed here? Because I apparently am going to see this thing through. So why wouldn't he be the deciding factor? If there is such a conversation between Nate and Jim Schwartz, why wouldn't he be the deciding factor on who the head coach is? Because apparently the offense isn't as far away as we all think it is, according to them. Because if it was, he wouldn't be here either. It's not my feelings, it's theirs. 216-474-0092. All right, I want to get to some of you guys on this. If Barry's still here, why wouldn't you go his direction? If Barry really likes Nate Shieldhouse, does that make you not really want Nate Shieldhouse? There's a lot of different things to think about here. Joe Thomas, 920. He's been on record before. He'd like a veteran head coach if he were still playing in the NFL. I want to ask Joe about that coming up at 920 on The Fan. Window Nation, you need veterans.
FM.com or favorite 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Want to talk Browns while you're at work? Baskin and Phelps, weekdays starting at 10 on 92.3 The Fan.
Win a pair of tickets to the 26th Greater Cleveland Sports Awards, Rocket Arena on Thursday, February 5th. Get tickets at clevelandsportsawards.com. Enter the word VOTE, V-O-T-E, by the end of this hour. At 923thefan.com to get registered to win a fantastic event, and you can be there if you can get in on these tickets. That's VOTE by the end of the hour.
Joe Thomas, 20 minutes away, 216-474-0092. By the way, you wanted to ask this question. You want to ask it? You go right on ahead. You don't know what question to ask, do you? Sorry about that. You wanted to ask a question about Stefanski.
Which one is that, Kenny?
You asked. You have to ask the question, so I'm not going to ask the question. You wanted to ask about Kevin.
Yeah.
And the feelings towards Kevin.
Yes.
And why do you make me do it? Stop making me ask the question.
And the next words are?
You said it. Stop it. No, you're not going to trick me into it. Say it. Ask the question.
I want to make sure it's the same question because there are a lot of questions.
Ask a question about Kevin, and let's see whether or not we're on the same page.
Well, I asked yesterday if there was any regret in that people are starting to say, wow, he has a chance to have a really good offense next year in Atlanta.
There you go.
They seized hold of him immediately when he was on the market while the Browns are still, according to some, flailing away for a head coach.
There you go. There you go.
So is there any regret?
There you go. I just wanted to make sure it was Anthony who asked it when we put the video up. That's why I was not going to ask it. I'm too smart for you now, buddy boy. Go ahead and ask him. Go ahead and ask him. Ask the listeners.
Well, I don't think anybody is going to
got nothing to do. We're looking for coaches.
People remember how the season, I shouldn't say how it ended. They won the last two games of the year.
Funny how you say that. You said admit it. Funny you want us to admit it, so you think it's true.
So let's put it this way.
So do you have regret?
Well, let me ask this. So think about the feelings right now throughout this process. It seems like 85% of Browns fans, maybe even more, are considered, quote, doomers right now because I've seen that debate as it is being waged online. The doomers versus the ones with hope. And normally in a coaching search, it should be all hope. It should be all excitement about who the next guy is. But when this thing kind of went back and forth between Shieldhouse, Udinski, and now Schwartz, Munkin, Anthony Lynn, like when that stuff starts to happen, fans are scrambling, and so they're losing their hope, and now they're going to, what kind of process was this? Is this just the owner dictating exactly who's going to be the coach? Did they make a huge mistake trying to pair up Jim Schwartz, having that kind of condition on any of these head coaches? Is that why guys are bowing out? So it's making people nervous. And I just wondered if anybody had it within themselves to say, maybe we shouldn't have said goodbye to Stefanski, who ended up becoming a coach in almost record time.
Well, do you feel that way?
No, I don't feel that way.
Then why would you accuse people of saying that they were lying to themselves?
Well, do people think, like, if they're so dead set against Jim Schwartz?
So it's not your opinion, but you're wondering if it's anybody else's opinion, whether or not fans are lying to themselves. What a great host you are right now.
Wait, people are making it seem like Jim Schwartz can't possibly coach a football team in 2026. And I don't understand that.
Because they're excited about it.
Do you think this is rocket science? Do people really believe that it's just there's only 0.00001% of the population that can coach a football team?
Well, there's another reason.
So I see plenty of coaches go out there, win plenty of games that people think are terrible coaches.
And there's another reason, too. One, you have new names in there. New and exciting. Shieldhouse, Udinski, people were really excited about that name. 30 years old. I mean, again, we're excited by youth. The other part is that you just said it without saying it. There's no trust. You only removed half of what they think is the problem. So you think that the fans are just assuming that you're going to get more of the same. And more of the same is more of what? More 8-26? That ain't no good to a fan. Hey, man, I've spent a lot of time. It's weird getting heat where I've tried to spend a lot of time trying to find the positives with this. But I'm going to call it what it is because I know that a lot of people have disagreed with me. Because I've tried to find some positive in what's going on and going, hey, you got some good young football players here. This season didn't work out. Yeah, it seemed like it was time for a clear separation. It seemed that Kevin didn't really want to be here anymore. That's my personal opinion. It seemed that they were really ready for a clean break. It seemed that the fans were ready for a break. Fine. I'm not going to sit there and regret because I didn't think he wanted to be here anymore. So there's no regret that I have. But I can say all these things, and they go, yeah, Kenny, they're 8-26. We got a quarterback. You guys sit here and have these fights over this QB that we don't even believe in. I mean, if you were going to go and go down the list with Browns fans, I think I just nailed it right there. Sincere Browns fans, not some of the folks that are dropping in who are fans of Shedeur. I welcome them, but this is where we're at right now. Okay? And good God, the internet was going crazy 2 days ago because he made the Pro Bowl, for crying out loud. So here we are. They don't think that highly of things right now. I think they do accept that there are some good young players, and they're really excited about the names that we've brought up, Harold and Quinshawn Judkins and Carson Swessinger and a couple of other guys. Certainly they are. But they look at this and go, man, we still have this albatross, quote unquote, hanging around us when it comes to Deshaun Watson. We have Andrew Berry, who had one good draft class out of 6, one really good out-of-the-park draft class out of 6. I mean, good God, you can go on forever. I mean, we've done this a bunch of times, Tone, to the point where you're just nodding because we've said it so many times. There's no trust. So when you give them Jim Schwartz, like I got into it with a buddy yesterday who I follow on social media, where he's like, oh, really, we're going to hand the ball over, or hand the team over to the guy who let Carson Wentz go up and down the field? I go, really, you're using Carson Wentz? Wasn't that a 17-10 win or something like that or whatever it was? Like, a good God. At least you could have used C.J. Stroud. But that's where they're at because there's no trust. So Jim Schwartz, while he was beloved this year, because we're trying to win a football game and the defense was the only thing either making us win or keeping us in it, he was beloved. Now it just feels like it's more of the same because people usually want a complete change, and you're not getting it. You're not getting it. Like, you can kind of understand.
But was anybody nervous all along when at the end of the year people were like, well, we have to keep Jim Schwartz. And now they're like, no, but we don't want to keep him as the head coach. So it's just like, well, how badly did you think you needed Jim Schwartz if now you're willing, you're so dead set on a young guy you'd never heard of, let's be honest, a month ago. Yeah. You're so dead set on that flashy young guy with a couple of clips on YouTube.
Because I don't think the offense is going to get fixed.
Yeah, but then what happens?
Don't think the offense
Are you guys not worried about the defense taking steps back? Are you not worried about alienating maybe Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward?
They absolutely should, but it's one step at a time. Because I just don't think the fans are really excited over retreads unless they've won a Super Bowl before. And even that, I mean, Mike McCarthy's won a Super Bowl. Nobody in Pittsburgh seems to be really excited. I mean, he was weeping up in the press conference, and I heard a lot of people on 93.7 making fun of him for it yesterday. He's from Pittsburgh, for crying out loud. I don't think people really like retreads. So when you say, hey, we'll make Jim Schwartz the head coach, okay, but who's going to run the offense? Anthony Lynn. Oh, boy, that ain't going to make anybody really thrilled because they just look at him and a failure with Justin Herbert and with the Los Angeles. Was he with Justin Herbert? I thought, was he? It's been a while now. Was he? Or was that still Philip? I'm not brushed up on my Chargers history. Maybe he was, maybe he was. Either way, they still look at him as a failed head coach with the Chargers. So this is where you're at. Shieldhouse, that's interesting. He might end up being a total disaster. I don't know if anybody can get worse than some of the guys we've already had, but he might be a total disaster. But he's new and interesting, exciting. Am I right about that? Did he have any time with Herbert?
He was there from 2017 to 2020.
Well, there you go. So they'll say, well, you had Justin Herbert there, and you couldn't do anything with Justin Herbert, and here we are. Am I right or wrong about that? Was Herbert there after 2020? I thought Herbert's younger.
I'm looking up right now.
Okay.
No.
He was.
Yeah, that was his rookie year.
Okay. Well, I mean, 2020 was a different season.
And they made the playoffs that year, I think.
They did. They did. Okay. Yeah. Instead of me going, they want somebody to get excited about.
I lied. They went 7-9.
Judas Priest, what are you set me up. You set me up.
I lied again. They won the AFC North. I agree with that one.
And Stan Humphries was actually the quarterback at the time. Jeremy in Little Italy, hello.
What's going on, guys?
Hi, how are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm all right.
Good.
I called in because I think you need some flowers, Ken. You know, I was upset when you were talking, the past couple weeks, even before we fired Kevin and we're saying, are we sure we're going to do this? We don't know what's on the other side of this. And I was like, no, Kevin needs to go. And now I'm sitting here, like you said, trying to get excited about Shieldhouse or Udinski. And I think Browns fans are excited about those guys because they're young. And I think for the Browns to get a real, true stud of a head coach, we need to take a risk like that on some that's just unknown. And so that's why Browns fans are excited about those guys. Obviously, with Udinski out, I'm crossing my fingers for Shieldhouse. And I don't know. I like Jim Schwartz. I like the idea of one of those young guys coming in and Schwartz still being the DC. But now I'm feeling like the Browns are a clown show and they're trying to force coaching personnel on these new guys, and that's probably why
you want to have an emotional. Let's call it what it is, Jeremy. Sorry to run over you there for a minute.
That's okay.
You want to have an emotional tie-in. You want to be excited, at least somewhat excited, have the chance to be excited about Browns football again.
That's exactly right.
There you go.
But Jim Schwartz, I'm not excited about the Browns if Jim Schwartz is the head coach. I mean, that's not. I guess that's not what I'm saying. I just think that with the unknown, the chance for excitement, the potential for excitement is much higher.
Yeah.
I don't think any Browns fans have this crazy idea that Jim Schwartz was the guy all along who was going to take us to the promised land. I do think that he could be the guy who could take us to more wins than the past 2 seasons.
Exactly. I think you sound the same way that a lot of fans do. And Jeremy, thank you very much for the call.
Isn't that amazing that he's admitting it at least? He's like, yeah, there's excitement in the guy none of us had heard of. So it's just that he hasn't coached a game yet. The minute he coaches a game, here's what I'm nervous about. I'm worried that all of you guys are just going to turn on one of these young coaches 4 games into the season and go, oh no, that excitement's gone, and now I've seen them lose games and make bad decisions.
The post-new coach clarity.
Yeah, and then I like that. And then make rookie mistakes, which is what every coach is going to do, regardless of whether they're older or younger. So I don't want to hire a coach just on excitement. That's stupid because that excitement goes out the window unless...
And they're not hiring based on excitement.
Right, but
that's your fan base. That's how they feel.
Like the Sean McVay, Mike Tomlin, those guys won instantly. And they also had teams that maybe were capable of winning instantly. You have to go look. But, the 11-5 first year, I think, for McVay. Then he went 13-3. Mike Tomlin, I think, was 10-6 or whatever in his first year. Those guys won instantly. Is this situation one that you can see the Browns winning instantly? And if not, are we sure we're just chasing excitement that we're going to say is totally evaporated 4 weeks into a season?
We are texting Joe. Joe is ready. Could we have breaking news about a new Browns head coach while Joe's on the show? Could Joe be the one breaking the news? He is a very trusted member of the Browns alumni. There's crazier things that have happened. Make sure you're listening. Joe Thomas, the Hoff, joins us next on The Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here.
Lakers come to Rocket Arena, having won 4 of their last 5. Listen to The Fan Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows. You can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
It was 1950 in the cold and rain when my father took me to my very first game. Said the Browns are gonna show you how the game is played. Here we go again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. We welcome in the Hall of Famer Joe Thomas joins us on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe knows who the Browns are hiring. He's going to announce it right now. Hello. No, I'm kidding. Hello, Joe. Good morning to you.
Yes, I would like to announce the next Browns head coach, and it is none other than fan favorite Anthony Lima.
Congratulations, Tone.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Super Bowl.
Wow. Browns.
Yeah.
Would there be a better gets us move if the new coach did do Super Bowl Super Browns at the press conference? I'm not sure. All right, Joe, you had a great video. We shared it. And we actually played some audio from it last week. You were a veteran in that league. We got some young guys who they've interviewed. 30-year-old Grant Udinski, okay, he's out. Now we got 35-year-old Nate Shieldhouse, seems to be possibly in with 2 other older guys. What is the advantages of a older head coach if they were to select Todd Monken or Jim Schwartz? What is the advantages of them compared to Nate Shieldhouse?
Well, I think the biggest advantage is kind of the obvious one, right? They got a lot of pelts on the wall, as Bill Parcells used to say, because they've been through the fire, they've been through the wars, they understand the adversity, and it's easier for them to convince the players and the assistant coaches, hey, follow me. I know how to get out of this jungle and get to the other side because, look, I've done it before. I've been there. I know the moves that we need to make. So trust me, follow me, and we'll get through this and we'll be better on the outside when we get out. When you have a young coach, you can say that, but there's going to be some hesitation in that room because unless you've got that map and you can show me where we're going, it's going to be really tough to have that trust to continue to be the leader to get full buy-in from your players.
Okay, so because my next question goes like, what's Nate Shieldhouse got to say if he gets the job? And it's like, I don't know if there's anything he can say. I think we just have to watch what he does, or the players have to watch what he does and see whether or not they trust him on the fly. Because, I mean, you're still kind of trying to build here, so we know it's not going to be a perfect road.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not to say that it can't work, right? I mean, we've seen it before. Sean McVay, tremendous head coach, one of the best head coaches in the NFL right now. But when he was hired, you know, he had those same questions being asked about him. Like, how are you going to lead a bunch of men that many of them are older than you, many of the coaches that you're going to be coaching? Because one of the most important jobs of head coaches that fans don't really realize is that as a head coach, not only do you have to hire those guys, but you're coaching your coaches so that the vision is unified from top to bottom. So they're saying the things that you want them to say. They're teaching each player individual with really clear, consistent communication about how they fit into the system. And those assistants, while they understand the larger scheme, it's up to you as the head coach to make sure that they understand exactly what that looks like and how their position group fits into the larger picture. And that's a leadership position that you've just never had to do, even if you have been an offensive or a defensive coordinator. So I think the biggest thing is you got to be a really good communicator. You got to be believable. When you go in there, you got to be very, very good as a salesman because there's adversity. I don't even care who you are. You could be the greatest coach on planet Earth. At some point in the season, you're going to face some real adversity. So how do you sell to your team that, hey, you know what? I may be a young guy. I may not have done this in this seat, but this is the path forward, and be able to sell that to those guys to continue to earn their trust to follow you.
Joe Thomas joining us right now. So the hard part, I think, is you've had this dominant defense, and their defensive coordinator has taken that defense to a whole new level, especially your unbelievable Hall of Fame defensive pass rusher who is setting records, it seems like, every year. And those players very well could be vouching for that defensive coordinator. Unfortunately, that defensive coordinator had a rough go at it at the end of his tenure as head coach way back when in Detroit after he took him to the playoffs. So how much do you weigh that with the fact that it seems like all these teams, especially offensive challenge teams, want a young, hotshot offensive coordinator or maybe someone who hasn't even gotten to that point to be their next head coach?
Well, I wouldn't really put too much thought or weight into what happened at the end of what the hell? I forget his name. Our defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. There we go. Brain fart early in the morning here. I wouldn't put too much thought into what happened at the end of his career as a head coach because it was so long ago, and because he's been in the building. Like, you know exactly his leadership style. You know how he connects with your players, and so I don't think that what happened at the end of his time in Detroit really has a whole lot to do with whether they would hire him or not, because they know him so much more deeply than, and so do Browns fans, than somebody who would be looking at that and wondering outside of Cleveland if he would be a good head coaching candidate. And I think one of the things that I mentioned in that video on my Instagram, Joe Thomas 73, was that one of the most important things that fans don't realize is that when you hire a head coach, if he's an older guy, he has a vast network that he can pull his assistants and his coordinators from, because he's been around a long time. You know, coaches, they last 2-3 years in one spot and they move on, and they're working a lot of times with a bunch of different coaches, different players. So that network is big enough to be able to pull a really, really high quality staff. That's one of the things that Kevin did really well when he was here. I mean, look at Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches in history. Was on Kevin's staff. He's had a great offensive staff. Obviously, he brought in Jim Schwartz, and they've had great success there on the defensive side of the ball. And so I think for Kevin being a defensive CEO-type head coach, for Jim, if he gets hired, the great benefit is that he will be able to find a great offensive staff that will be able to work with a young quarterback, most likely, to help develop him, to be there all the time with him. And then he gives that CEO oversight that he's had experience doing, which I think is a benefit, even though it didn't finish great in Detroit. And he understands how to lead. He understands how to motivate. He understands how to be very clear with his communication of what he wants and to delegate to his offensive staff, like, hey, these are my expectations, but I trust you guys because I hired you to do this job. So now go do it to the very best of your ability.
A lot of us, Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer, joining us here on the show. When it comes to Jim Schwartz, we know that Miles and him are close, or we know that Miles really likes him. Miles has been there a long time now. We also know that you, and everybody knows this, you are highly respected in the building by everybody. Were you ever, as a player, asked, I'm not sure, I forget how many coaches you had to play for, but were you ever asked your opinion on a candidate?
You know, indirectly, yes. Directly, no. We had 6 head coaches, so we had plenty. And, you know, we had conversations, but I think it was more about the guys that were maybe in the building and less about guys that they were considering hiring. And I think that's fair. Like, I think there should be some level of a firewall between players and the front office and ownership with when they are hiring, especially the head coaching position. Because, like, you're not involved in as many of those conversations, those meetings. And, you know, as unbiased as I would like to think I would be in those situations, you know, players are going to, you know, subconsciously be a little bit biased towards the guy that might help their own situation a little bit. And I think if you put too much weight into asking the players who they want, sometimes it skews maybe what's best for the team, because you're going to hear maybe a little bit more of what's best for that player. And the players, yeah, we know a lot of the coaches, but you don't really know enough about them in general, especially the deep candidate pool that you're going to have, to be able to say confidently, like, hey, yeah, this guy is the one you want, unless you've worked with him. And I think if you worked with him, that might be a little bit of a different situation where they would ask you about, you know, leadership style, communication style, scheme, how does he fit with the players? Like, those type of things are great. But, you know, if I'm in the building right now and they're asking about Nate Shieldhouse, I'm going, well, to be honest, I don't really know much about him at all. So I probably wouldn't be the right person to ask whether he'd be a great head coach for us or not.
You know, we have seen so many different ways to try to get this thing done, different teams with very, very different processes. I mean, look at Pittsburgh. It really kind of seemed like they didn't take anything seriously outside of the guy they wanted. So, yeah, they got the guy they wanted, but it's being heavily criticized in Pittsburgh. Is there a right way to do a coaching search outside of cast a wide net?
I don't know if there's one right way to do it. I definitely think you want to be patient. You want to be thorough and diligent like the Browns have been, but there is a line that you worry because it seems like every year more and more coaches are being fired. I mean, we got coaches that are winning their division. They're making deep playoff runs that are getting fired. And so the pool of teams that the coaches that are available to be head coaches can go to is getting wider. So now as a team like the Browns, you're competing against a lot of other organizations that have a lot to offer. I mean, look at Buffalo. They got a pretty good quarterback there, and as everybody knows, how your quarterback goes, you're going to go as a head coach. And really, if you go into a situation with an unsteady quarterback room, you got 2 years to prove it or you're going to be gone. And so that level of instability for a potential head coach is unsettling. And if you wait too long and you're too thorough, the guy that you may want, number one, number two, number three, might have gone somewhere else. So I think there's that careful line you got to walk. And I know I'm nervous, just like Browns fans are, like, hey, this is taking a little bit longer than expected, especially knowing that it seemed like the decision to move on from Kevin happened mid-December, maybe earlier. And so you'd have to think that they probably had a lot of time to dive into those potential head coaches and who'd be the right fit. And now you're sitting here without a head coach still. So I think the clock is definitely ticking.
What did you think of the McCarthy hire in Pittsburgh?
I thought it was interesting. I mean, he's had a lot of talent. He's had great quarterbacks where he's been, and he's had success. But for whatever reason, in the buildings that he's been in, they fired him and moved on, even in spite of the success. And so, I mean, that almost concerns me more than like the Jim Schwartz thing, because it's like, okay, well, maybe he didn't have the right situation around him and they didn't win the way that everybody wanted. But like with McCarthy, he's won where he went and they still fired him. So you wonder, like, what are we missing? What does the ownership group that has decided to fire him in Green Bay, in Dallas, what have they seen that maybe the outside world doesn't see, or maybe is not crystal clear on, that they said, like, hey, 12-5, winning the division, these things are not good enough with the talent and what we've given you.
All right, Joe, let me ask you another thing here. Now, this is when they hire their coach. Eventually it's going to happen. Heard it could be today, but I heard it could have been Monday, for crying out loud. So when they have their first meeting, we love to see these videos. Everybody puts them out, the first meeting with the new coach and everything. What's the thing that a coach ends up saying that makes guys roll their eyes? What does that new coach have to avoid saying in that first meeting?
If you come in as Tommy Tough Guy and act like you're this hard ass, like, players don't want to hear that, right? I want to hear as a player in that meeting, like, what is your game plan to turn this thing into a winner? How are you going to help me individually be the best version of myself and be the best teammate that I possibly can be to put the best product on the field? You can save the hard-ass tough guy speeches for Hard Knocks when the cameras from HBO are running in training camp. But right now, show me your roadmap. Tell me why I should believe in what you're selling and what you're going to do for us as the head coach.
No tough talking Nate Shieldhouse tone. There you go.
Joe, obviously the league seems to react, at times overreact to the whims of and the trends of where the league is going. And I find it very interesting. You're dealing in this Super Bowl with two defensive-minded coaches, and yet it seems like every hiring cycle, it's 80% offensive guys. We just saw it. Sean Payton's an amazing coach, I think, but he makes a critical mistake right before the half. I said it at the time, it's not revisionist history, that he shouldn't have, he should have just taken the points, kicked the field goal. With all that said, do you think there is a little too much emphasis by a lot of people on go offense, 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 when it seems like defensive guys can get the job done too?
I think it's situation specific. I think everybody knows right now the NFL is an offense-driven league. I mean, look at the Browns. We had the best defense in the league here last few years. One of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest defensive player of all time, and he still sat outside of the playoffs with a lot of games to go left in the season. And so you need to find somebody on offense who can nurture that offense, that offensive mind, to be able to impart his vision of what he wants to see from that offense And that's the most important role in the franchise. The most important person for the franchise is a quarterback. I know they make $40 million a year, but they're probably underpaid for what type of value they deliver to the franchise. That's $4, $5, $6, $10 billion. And so I think it's really important that you get that position right. And the easiest way is to hire a guy who's a great offensive mind. Sure, you can have success with CEO type coaches, but I think what you get, if I had to break it down, when you have a Harbaugh or a Tomlin, is you get sustained success because they bring the floor up, but they don't push the ceiling out. And they always struggle, in my opinion, to be able to take talent that they have, especially on offense, and turn them into a championship. They can always be very good because they're really, really good at the CEO part. But if your most highly paid coach is not directly influencing what your quarterback is doing every single time he's out there on the field and every play that's being called, then I think the guy is probably being overpaid for what he's giving to your franchise because, as I mentioned, quarterback play is the most important determinant of success or failure. And so I want my smartest, highest paid coach directly coaching every little thing that quarterback does. You know, even the best CEOs are going to look at, all right, well, this is our most important widget that we make. And so I better be damn certain that widget is going to be perfect every single time. So I'm going to have direct oversight and input on every little piece of that process that goes into creating the world's greatest widget quarterback.
I think what you just said was fascinating because you made a case that a CEO type head coach, and by the way, I believe Jim Schwartz could do that. I believe he is cut from a similar cloth as a Mike Tomlin and a John Harbaugh. And you just said that those types of coaches could absolutely raise the floor. And it seems like a lot of Browns fans are sitting here going, yeah, raise the floor. Nah, I'd rather take that lotto ticket at the Super Bowl head coach, hotshot young guy. And I just think for me, we could be right back here in a year if they do that because everybody could lose their job if somebody like an Nate Shieldhouse doesn't work out. But I've seen people say the same thing about Schwartz, that Schwartz would just be a short-term coach. So I kind of feel like we're just twisting the argument for whatever we're looking for.
I'm sorry, we might be too focused on the ceiling and not the floor. Like if we get to a guy who's like, all right, if we won 9 games next year, now Joe's just part of the show. Like Joe, if we won 9 games next year, be like, oh man, that's incredible. If we won 9 games the year after that and the year after that, people would be upset. I'm going, well, wait a minute. Look at our standard compared to where it was. I mean, they were bitching in Pittsburgh. Depending on how things go, they'd love to have that, just like we would have loved to have that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation for us Browns fans because, are we jealous of the success the Ravens, the Bills, the Steelers have had? Of course, we would love it, to be in that situation where you're winning divisions and you're making runs in the playoffs. But, I mean, there's a reason that those teams fired their CEO-type head coach because once you're there and you feel like you've got a roster that should be competing for a championship and you fall short repeatedly, you're not satisfied because, as they say, you play to win the game. You're playing for championships. Now, as a Browns fan, yeah, it'd be great to be there in the playoffs year in and year out, but you play to win championships, put rings on your finger, and I know there's a risk-reward paradigm and a trade-off, but I think by and large, the reason the NFL is great is because it's run by a lot of owners that have taken a lot of risk in their life to become wildly successful, and that's how they're going to run their franchise because they want to win championships. And if you look at the last Super Bowl winners, I mean, Eagles, Chiefs, Rams, Bucks, Chiefs, Patriots, Eagles, Patriots, Broncos. I mean, it was all, other than Brady being part of the championship, they're all offensive-minded head coaches that directly impacted what the quarterback was doing and what the offensive scheme was. And so I think that's a humongous determining factor. And on top of that, I think the concern is when you have a vacant, so to speak, quarterback position right now, and you're going to have a young guy that needs to be developed, right? You don't have that offensive wizard maybe in the building with direct oversight from the head coaching position. And if you find him as an offensive coordinator and he has success with that young guy, well, you know what? He's going to go somewhere else. And as Browns fans, we're saying that would be awesome. I would love to have a guy come in that's a Kyle Shanahan as offensive coordinator, gives us 2 great years, gets us going in the right direction, turns us into a winner, and then goes somewhere else, and we have the problem of finding his replacement. But that's really hard for a young quarterback to start with one guy, have some success, and then switch offensive schemes. Or the worst case scenario is like what we saw in Atlanta when Kyle left, and they're like, we don't want to change anything. It's working so perfectly, so we're going to hire somebody and make him run Kyle's scheme. And then, of course, that doesn't work. Like, just because you got the playbook from somebody else doesn't mean you know how to read it.
Joe, it's outstanding as always. We thank you very much for the time. You're wonderful. Your meat's even better. Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. You should check it out. We got beef jerky subscriptions launching, baby. So
you have a subscription service?
Wanting that jerky delivered to your door monthly, baby. Thanks for having me on, guys. Have a great day.
He has a subscription service, Joe. Thank you very much. He has a subscription service.
Those were the first to go.
For the jerky.
Look, the ribeye, the Wagyu, that stuff was sensational, but just sitting there needing something to gnaw on as you're waiting on a coaching search, first to go. Coaching search will be going and going and going. That's why you need that subscription.
That was a hell of a point that Joe made. I want to bring that up when we come back. Are we focused too much on the ceiling and not enough on the floor? Ken Carman, Tone Master General on the Fan.
cure or prevent any disease.
Keep us locked in all day, every day for the latest on the Browns' search for a new head coach. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
Time out! Time out!
92.3 The Fan.
Pure excellence from Joe, as always. And he's got the subscription service to his beef jerky, which I didn't even realize. I'm telling you, man, he's going to end up like Jimmy Dean. Jimmy Dean was a country singer. To two previous generations, 2 generations ago, Jimmy Dean was a country singer. What's Jimmy Dean known for? He is the king of meat. Yes.
What about Paul Newman and his dressing?
It's amazing.
Joe's going to be known for a beat.
I really, I'm telling you, man, I'm proud of him. That's incredible. He is doing it with the beef, man.
He's also going to be known for coaching searches and floors versus ceilings.
Yes, because we have the audio of that. Go ahead.
What you get, if I had to break it down, when you have a Harbaugh or a Tomlin, is you get sustained success because they bring the floor up, but they don't push the ceiling out. And they always struggle, in my opinion, to be able to take talent that they have, especially on offense, and turn them into a championship. They can always be very good because they're really, really good at the CEO part. But if your most highly paid coach is not directly influencing what your quarterback is doing every single time he's out there on the field and every play that's being called, then I think the guy is probably being overpaid for what he's giving to your franchise because, as I mentioned, quarterback play is the most important determinant of success or failure. And so I want my smartest, highest paid coach directly coaching every little thing that quarterback does. You know, even the best CEOs are going to look at, all right, well, this is our most important widget that we make. And so I better be damn certain that widget is going to be perfect every single time. So I'm going to have direct oversight and input on every little piece of that process that goes into creating the world's greatest widget quarterback.
That's Joe Thomas with us just moments ago. Here, that whole interview, 923thefan.com. You know, but this is the tricky part of it, is I just had to go back to Kevin's old records. I would have always thought, if you would have told me after 11-6, I would have never said there's no way I would have ever believed they would have been 3-14 the next year. No. I can't believe Mike McCarthy, off the top of my head, I can't believe Mike McCarthy would be the coach of a 3-win football team. So
nor Mike Tomlin.
Exactly.
Nor Harbaugh,
and
either of them.
And a lot of fans go, yeah, Ken, that's because the organization ain't great. Fair. Absolutely true.
But doesn't a CEO head coach kind of take control of an organization over time, amass more power?
Well, let me ask you that. Does that make you change your idea of Jim Schwartz? Because I'm sure if I look back at Jim Schwartz's 4 or 5 years over with the
Detroit.
Hold on, I'm getting text.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Stop.
Kalshi markets, flock to them. Flock to them. Right now on Kalshi, Todd Monken, 47%, while Nathan Shieldhouse, 34%. That leaves 19% left over.
My Salt Lake guy says he's getting more orders.
You got to speak or the things are going to go off.
Wait,
so you
now
guys
it's,
talk.
Monken 46, Shieldhouse 34, Jim Schwartz 29.
Hold on.
I made a horse joke.
So we had, you know what, I missed it. I thought we exhausted all the
I just got a text that does say white smoke.
Folks, stay tuned to 923 The Fan throughout the day.
Which if I'm getting text, you might have an idea who it's going to be.
We may have a new head coach any minute now.
Oh.
So stay tuned. Either way.
So what are they saying in that text there, Ken?
Well,
why are you making those faces?
If Kenny's getting texts about it, could that also mean that the horses coming to a stable near Northeast Ohio could mean who the offensive coordinator could be? Whoa, boy!
We got to do something here.
I'm a terrible poker player.
Can you get a second source?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do.
I I really hope people are listening to this right now and understanding.
They ain't listening to anything else.
Please understand what is happening if you're listening to this show right now. If you're watching it on YouTube right now, you can't see my face. You can hear my voice. You can definitely see Ken's face, and you can go ahead and...
Okay, everybody else stop texting. Damn it, friends.
Is your neighbor asking if his son's going to play left guard on your youth team this year again?
Well, it looks like we got a better shot. It looks like we got a better shot of this breaking during Baskin and Phelps.
We're not ending the show if this is how it's going to end.
Well, I got to get a text back. All right, he's confirming it. Well, I'm not going to announce it. Okay, keep talking, or the things are going to go off.
The very intriguing thing to me in all of this is that, like, we thought we would have this, yesterday, by the end of yesterday's show. And then it went on, and then there were Zoom meetings between the candidates.
For all three of the finalists.
For all three of them, while everybody was chasing the flight patterns and looking to see where the flights were going.
You shouldn't have been looking at the birds in the air. You should have been looking at the animals that are running around on the ground.
This, to me, would be very, very interesting. And again, what is going on behind the scenes? What does it mean for coordinators?
The music.
I will
not
play
the radio show.
The music you should play is the music we used to play to end the show.
Wait a minute, that sounds more like NFL films. I'm sorry.
We used to have very different music to close the show.
It was Goodbye.
Yeah, it was Goodbye to a Certain Animal.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to just come out and say I'm being texted because it could end up being... I'm finding a way how to get around this. I'll let you do it.
We're gonna
How about that?
We're gonna have a new Browns head coach in the next, what do you say, hour at least?
No, could be quicker than that.
If you were listening at around, what did we talk about that, 8:30?
It was 8:45 when we... 8:30.
The horses be leaving the paddock. Right now, Kalshi, Munkin, 41%. Shieldhouse, 34%. Schwartz, that number continuing to dip.
All right, Baskin and Phelps coming up next. Are you ready to play too much or not enough?
Too
For
much,
at least a year?
Too much speculation, not enough speculation.
Sounds good to me. Big thanks to Joe Thomas. Big thanks to Aditi. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll have a new coach. Seems that we will. We're back tomorrow 6 to 10. Mary Kay, 8:20 tomorrow.
Wow.
What are you getting texted out to? Stop it. Stop it. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube Live. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Go Browns. Go Cavs against the Lakers tonight. LeBron back in town. Have a wonderful day, friends.